Ooh. Shalati, your lungs are burning, muscles aching. You know that whatever emerged from those dead sheep and llamas, it's out there. Ash is running with you. You can see the barn in front of you now. You see some probably candlelight or torchlight from inside. Salinger, we'll say you're on the porch. You're on watch. You pick out the silhouette of two people running as fast as they can towards the barn.
He would give a knock on the door just to let Cypher and others know that people are approaching, and then just kind of call out, "Who's that?"
And she's basically still running full tilt. The sight of the barn coming up gives her a extra little burst of energy to her flagging state. On the run from the farm over to the barn, she is slowed down because it's hard to sustain that. But the side of the barn, suddenly she picks up her pace, and all but cannons into the side of the barn, catching herself with her hands with a. And then she leans down, trying not to double over with the knot in her side. They killed all the animals, the flock, the herd. And then they came out of the throat. I killed one. To all of them. It burned from the inside out. They started coming out. We have to go. There were hundreds of the animals. We're not safe here. She starts swallowing and slides down to the ground as Ash stumbles up behind her.
Just as a note, I think we can make all that out, but your microphone ate like half of your voice. Like I think it tried to filter it out.
Hang on, yeah.
I mean,
we did hear what you said.
For how exhausted you were. I just thought that you were like losing it in between every breath.
Honestly, we could say that for now, and then when she regains her breath, she can explain herself more fully. While I fiddle with the noise canceling stuff.
Okay. Well, Sal would catch her. She's not going to fall. Trying to help her up, open through the door, calling out, "We got two more. Apparently some other horrifying thing happened." And start to drag them inside.
Yeah, Cypher starts to usher the bunnies upstairs to keep them safe. Ember is still there. He kind of runs forward and I think he's got a broom in his hand at this point. What do we do?
We're supposed to wait on some kind of signal to run towards the train tracks. I couldn't understand half of what Shalati was trying to say. Monsters coming out of the livestock? More puddings or something else?
Is leaning heavily on Sal's shoulder, like one arm gripping his, as she tries to not just fold over the cramp. But she's starting to breathe a little bit more normally now, and she says, "We got there, and all of the entire herd was slaughtered, burned from the inside out. Like burns all over them. And at first, it seemed like they were just corpses, that was all. But then some of them smoke started curling up from them. And then a fiery lily came out of the throat of one and leaped at me, and I managed to get it, to stomp it out. But then another one started smoking behind me, and then another, and another, and another. There were so many. All of them were dead. There were so many. If they were all incubating them, that means hundreds coming our way.
Coming out? Were they chasing you? Are they coming this way? He starts to step back out through the door to look at the field where she came from.
Did I see them running after me while we were running away?
You definitely saw some movement, but you were getting into the fields at that point. You saw some things catching on fire. It's hard to know if they were coming directly after you or just starting to stir to activity. But you went as fast as you could.
I don't know. I do not know. They were coming out. They were emerging, but it takes them, like you've seen before, it takes them a moment to get their bearings or something. And so in that time, we were able to get further away, but things were starting to catch on fire more. And she pushes off of Sal's arm and moves inside of the barn and calls out to her family, at least. Ember, Yev, Zach, get the babies. We have to go.
Ember looks around. He says, I'll gather the others. And he goes running upstairs.
Sal grabs Shalati by the wrist and just pulls her in a little bit. Yev may have ran off after Casey. Again. At least he's with other folks, right? Your brother's sneaky and fast. Please don't hit me.
She just pulls her arm out of Salander's grip. Mutters under her breath, seemingly more to herself than anyone else. One thing at a time.
You hear a clop, clop, clop down the stairs, and Kabeth's dad, blacksmith, comes down, and he says, "Hi, I heard about what happened, but we can't do the plan. We can't go to the train tracks. The train doesn't come till tomorrow. What are we going to do?"
I think that leaves the lighthouse first, and then to the temple.
Lighthouse.
Still think.
That's a good idea. Isn't that where everyone else is?
Yes, it is.
I guess we'll start herding bunnies.
Yeah, and Kren says, "Okay, I'll get the others." And he goes, clopping back upstairs. Yeah, before too long, the family start to filter down the stairs into the main room. But it'll take a few minutes to get everybody down there.
Is there anything in this barn, or was it a granary, or did it have hay?
Yeah, storage. There's some hay bales. There's also there are stalls for animals and stuff like that. Bags. There would be like bags of grain and things like that, and seed kind of piled, but it's pretty low at the moment.
She's still going to direct at least Ember, if not Ash, since Ash is still recovering from the run as well, to grab, and maybe Zach, since even though he's only 12, he's a Goliath, so he's pretty strong for his age. So to grab some of the seeds and the grain, whatever can be used to make food, even if it is originally intended to be animal food, and also perhaps plant more at the temple.
Yeah, there isn't too much, but yeah, Ember and Zach each get like a satchel over their shoulder.
And she she grabs a little bit as well.
Cool, yeah. And his arm's full. Ember has that broom in his hand, and he kind of looks like he looks like he's asking around for who wants it. Tosses to Ash. Right. Yeah, and then Kren says, "Okay, looks like that's everyone."
I think Sal's loading a few of the smaller kids up onto the horse and leading it by the reins as we start to head out.
Oh yeah, there's actually no one else here who was here, is there?
Yeah, it's just Cypher is the only other player who would be there, I think.
First, can I make a clarifying point that people would know?
Sure.
So the train tracks, if I'm not mistaken, do not go by the temple.
No, they do not.
So yeah, temple's 2 days away. Train tracks don't go by it.
As they start to leave, Shalati pulls Salinger and Cypher, and presumably Beth as well, aside, and says,
Kabeth is with Casey.
"Oh, that's right. I guess it's Cypher and Salinger then." And she says, "Some of us are I don't feel right. Some of us leaving. We need to escort them to the lighthouse at least, but I think we also need to go to the train tracks and let Casey and Kiev and Kibeth know.
Yeah, Kren
Either
says-
way,
Oh, good.
either way, that train does need to be stopped for the conductor, if nothing else. But
Yeah, Kren looks at each of you and he says, he glances back to where Cypher's like wrangling children and says, yeah, well, we could take all of them to the lighthouse and, I mean, I know it'd be dangerous, but maybe, could Ember and Ash come with us and the two of you could go get Casey and just tell them to come to the lighthouse instead.
how far is it from here to the lighthouse versus here to or the train track south of town? Or
Well,
away
to the
from town?
beginning of the train tracks is about equidistant, but you know that Casey was. Well, I guess I don't know how much information you guys have about what Casey was doing in train track specifically, but it's about equidistant. Like they are kind of opposite directions, but
Good thought, but I feel like it would be better to let the others at the lighthouse know firsthand. And they're not meant to. The train isn't meant to arrive until 10 tomorrow. We still have 8 hours? What time is it even?
I don't have my watch. Oh, what do you want to do? What about Casey and Kabeth? I could go after them. Kabeth has to know. There's danger.
What I'm saying is that we go to the lighthouse, and then from the lighthouse we go to Casey and Yiv and Kibeth and let them know then. Maybe more of us. Maybe we can even, if there's more of us, we can even take some supplies from the train. Or perhaps the worst wounded who, I don't know, but
I really want to catch up with Kabeth and make sure that she knows what's going on. They might be, if there's more of those things out there, they could be going into danger. Why don't you take all the people to the lighthouse and I'll go to get Kabeth and Casey, if you don't want to do it.
No, nobody's traveling alone. Now, if you really think you can get all these folks over there safely, quickly, we can go get Casey, make sure they get right back. We'll all meet back at the lighthouse together. If you think that's what's best, but nobody's running off by themselves.
That's a good idea, but someone has to go after
Mr.
Casey and Kabeth.
Mr. What's Kibeth's last name?
His name is Kren. I don't know what their last name is. They might not have last names. Not everybody has a family name.
Mr. Kren, can you see in the dark?
No, I could take a torch. We've got the bonfire.
And make yourself more visible? I think, given how many people here. Look, there are. She looks at the array of kids And then just kind of sighs at Vivian and says, "There are so many little ones here. You know, you have a large family yourself. You know how hard that is to wrangle all the children. I think we need all hands on deck for this. And then those of us who can navigate in the darkness can go. It is only half an hour walk to the lighthouse. Yes?
Well, that's true, but... listen, maybe I'm not the best choice for it, but someone has to go warn Capeth and Casey.
We will. We are. In an hour. And she puts a hand on the satyr's shoulder and says, "You know, Cupid is a good friend of mine. And my brother is out there too. If what Salinger said was correct, and I have no reason to doubt it, because that is exactly the kind of thing he would do."
Roll persuasion. That's a pretty good argument.
On the other hand, both of my exes are out there, so
Ulterior motives.
can I think I have an inspiration from
You do have an
when
inspiration. You just got one.
well, I also had one from
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on.
Oh my god.
Jeez. Oh, jeez.
88?
Yeah. Kren's head kind of sinks and he says, "Listen, I know it's dangerous, but I can't. The idea of them being in danger and us taking the time to go there when someone could try to warn them, somebody has to go. And I understand that you might not want to do it, but if you don't, I have to."
That means one of us has to go with him. At least. And I'm as blind in the dark as he is.
Ash will go with you. She at least can see in the dark as well, so she can more safely navigate you all to the lighthouse. Do halflings have dark vision?
No.
I don't think they do. All right, Mr. Crane, I will go find them.
Thank you. You'll have an easier time traveling than I will. Okay, Seifrid and I and all the others will be on our way to the lighthouse. If there's any trouble, if there's any danger, you just try to find them. And looks at Salinger. Are you going with Shal or coming with us?
He puts an arm on his shoulder. I'm gonna go with Shao, but you're gonna take this with you, because you probably know how to use it better than I do. And he hands him the sword. You keep all them safe, and you give that back when we get to the lighthouse with you.
Oh, the ancient
Salinger.
longsword?
Mm-hmm.
Cylinder, you cannot see any better in the dark than Mr. Crane either.
I can follow you, and I can hear, and if something tries to hit somebody, I can get in the way. I'll keep
I
up.
don't like it.
Yeah, Kren says, well, based on what happened in the field, do we have any reason to think that these creatures have any trouble seeing in the dark at all?
They kind of make their own light, to be fair.
Maybe you're right. Okay. And he kind of hefts the sword a little bit, looks at it, looks at Salinger, nods and says, "I'll give this back." And then, yeah, Seifrid and he start to funnel all the bunnies and satyrs and
And the Minotaur and the
Minotaur.
Yuan-Ti and the
Yeah.
She pulls Ash and Ember aside and says, "Ash, do you understand what happened at the farm, so that you can tell it to everyone at the lighthouse?"
Says, I think so. At least what I saw.
Tell Ismond and Eva that I think what happened to that the fire jellies are breeding in the same way that that the blue ones did, and that apparently they don't need people for that. They can also use regular animals.
Yeah,
Other than that, I suppose just tell them exactly what you saw, and they are smart. They can figure things out and ask more questions as they need.
Yeah, Ember says, if Kibeth is out there, maybe I should go with you.
No, you should watch over your sister. Especially since both of you let Yev sneak away. I cannot believe.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
Take care of
That's
each other. And I love you both. I love you all. As she winds her address to the rest of her family.
Yeah. And, yeah, they kind of pile onto you for a hug for a second, and then pull away. People start piling out the doors to the barn, headed towards the lighthouse. Yeah, so you see Salinger, Charlotte, you see that group beginning to wind their way towards the north, and towards the lighthouse.
Charlotte looks at Salinger and then pulls out her hand and says, well, let's go. Which way did they go?
Guess he'll just point, since I don't remember specifically.
Yeah, they were kind of headed to the southwest, like towards where the train tracks would head towards the town.
She hefts the next rake or shovel or tines, pitchfork, I guess, that she found in the barn. And then gives a big sigh and says, it's one thing at a time, but there's always another thing.
Yeah, can't argue that. And Sal's going to put on that gauntlet to cover the hand that he'd used to swat away the pudding before.
Yeah. You fit it onto your large hand, and at first it's hard to get on. You pull a little hard, and it seems to fit perfectly.
Nothing weird about that.
Almost like it's tuning itself to you.
Meanwhile, at the lighthouse. And Esmond tucked away in one of the side rooms. Ava, Peach. You have a moment to survey the surroundings. Lots of injured still lying on the ground, but everyone here seems to be stable. The woman that you had saved, still unconscious, but seems to be breathing more evenly now. There's been no more signs of puddings approaching the lighthouse. From the top of the lighthouse, you can still make out the bonfire over at the barn, but no more messages since last made contact.
I've got some ideas for what Ava's do. Kate, do you have anything you want to start with?
No, go for it.
Okay.
One point of actually, let me add a little bit of context here. Now that you've had time to, all the people who may have been urgently wounded, needing care, have been taken care of, looking around, you realize a few things. There's certainly not enough people here at the lighthouse to cover the entire population of the town, for sure. You have not seen Shirley, Sal's mother. You have not seen Shalati or Kerbeth's or Seifred's families. Your own mother and father and sister, Ava, you have not seen here at the lighthouse.
If Peach has talked to Ava, she would have said about like Seifred and Beth's family and them because she was at the barn and saw like little kids and everything. She would have. And
Okay.
last session, I told all that to Esmond.
Okay, maybe do a little bit of a scene of doing it with Ava, just so we just having some character interaction. And again, no sign of the mayor. Lots of people missing. You know for sure. You saw Teredian and Gilgain be killed, but you also haven't seen Parcel Officer Simon. And, almost half the town's population, for sure, you feel like is unaccounted for at this point.
I have an idea to start that I'll throw it to you, Patrick, if you're... So I imagine Peach sort of bustling, keeping herself distracted, following orders from Ava, but friendly, easygoing. It's something that they've done before, where Peach trusts Ava's leadership and her direction and does what needs to be done. And as she sort of finishes up and checks on one final person, she comes over to Ava and takes a deep breath and goes, "All right, where's everybody else?" He's the worst of them, right? The rest of the town is somewhere, right?
I guess they hopefully will be somewhere. She's I imagine she would almost take back something that maybe Peach was using. I imagine at least Ava, if not both of them, have something like a clipboard with some sheets of paper, the names of the people who were accounted for and some of the ones who were missing, just to keep track.
We keep matching nurse aprons too.
So she takes back the clipboard from the other candy-striped nurse and sort of looks at it and nods as they're having this conversation. She looks over and flips through the pages a little bit and thinks for a second. And she says, "Yeah, I guess. It's a lighthouse.
At the lighthouse, it was mostly the kids. Shalati's family and Kebeth's family and Seifred's family. Or Seifred's family. Man, I always get that damn name wrong.
No, it's fine. But they're at the barn. We're at the lighthouse. But
No,
we're at
I know where we are. I'm trying to tell you who all else is okay, at least that we know.
Okay. Good. I'll update the information. But if we're at a lighthouse, then maybe they have something to help them look for ships, right? Like a spyglass. So would they? I'm gonna see if I can find that. I think that the people who are missing, if they're not here, and they're not with everyone else, then maybe they're still in the town. So if we look outside from the lighthouse and we get a spyglass, maybe we can look for lights or something that come from some of the houses. Maybe some of the people haven't left and they're hiding out in town.
That ain't a bad idea, but Ava, can you even see in the dark?
Surprisingly well.
Really? Ain't that new?
Uncomfortably so, yes. So let's see if we can find one though, and we can maybe get an eye on... Yeah, well, let's get an eye on where people might be, and then while we're looking, we can think about what we're gonna do next, because we can't probably just stay here.
Yeah, anything to stay distracted. Hey, this is everyone. You didn't see Salinger's mom?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ava. Let me know. Give me something else to do. I'll help you look for that
Oh.
spyglass, or I'll clean the damn floor.
No. I know one thing we need to do. The food. We're gonna need food, and there are supplies that we have on hand, and we keep them around town, but if you can make a list of some supplies and some places where we can find them. I don't have a plan yet, but I have some ideas, and we need some. If you can find where some food is, and some places where supplies would be, and think on that, and
I
that would help.
understand. I understand where you're going because what you're saying, Ava, is eventually we're all gonna have to go into town, or at least some of us. We're gonna have to rescue the folks that are still there and make some kind of supplies run. I understand.
Yeah, that's it. You got it.
Yeah. No, these are good ideas. You don't need to be so hesitant. Girl, you got to be confident. These are smart ideas. You are one of the smartest people left in this town.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, I'm gonna look for the light. I'm gonna look for the magnifier. I'm gonna go look for the spyglass. And she does that. She goes to look for a spyglass.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Peach, was there anything you want to do as Ava starts to head up the stairs? You don't have to. Peach?
Oh, sorry. I thought the scene was through. I was completely.
No, I was going to ask you, is there anything else you want to do as Ava leaves the room? And
Oh no. Peach would. She would start talking to folks. She'd basically be starting to make a list of necessary supplies. What all do we have with us, and kind of making a list of a supply line things as per Ava's suggestion. Like, so she's going around and talking to the people who can still talk. She's trying to get an idea of what's in, different storehouses for the restaurants and different things around town. So she'll be taking notes on a clipboard about all that.
Okay, sounds good. Ava, you wind up the wooden stairs, the interior of the lighthouse, and you get back to the same room where you had Maydeen, where you had operated on her, essentially, on the desk. Looks like Julie Summerstone has righted all the things that were kind of knocked over from the desk when she was placed up there. And as you get back in the room, you almost remember that you had seen it before. There's the far side of the room near the window side by the water. There's like a wooden case, velvet lined, that has a spyglass in that. And Julie's in the room, and you see her. She's like just placing some things back on the shelf.
Miss Summerstone, can I borrow your spyglass for a moment, please?
Oh. Well, yeah, I suppose. Just be careful with it. It belonged to my father.
Oh, yes, of course, I'll be careful with it. I'm gonna go try to look, and see if I can see any signs of people who we didn't make it out of town, to see where they might be, and I think it'll help. Thank you.
Okay. Are you okay?
I'm physically fine, yes.
It was a strange and brave thing that you did. I think Mr. Terradian would be proud.
Ava just sort of cants her eyes to the side and nods her head gently, and then smiles up at her weakly. Thank you. I'm gonna take the spyglass. I'll be back to check on you. Please get me I'll be upstairs if someone needs something. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So you make your way, level up, to where the beacon, the lighthouse beacon is. It's a little distractingly bright if you go all the way up, but there's a spot like on the stairs that wind out like once you're in this room, you kind of go outside, and then it kind of winds its way up. But on that in-between space out on the stairs, there's a drizzle of rain coming down. The wind's a bit heavier, but you're sort of in the shadow of the building itself, and you can peer out across the town.
Okay. She sets the case down on the stone steps, I imagine, close to the base of where the tower is, and is very focused as she's opening it. Not only does this help her, just having something, but she's trying to be very respectful of this object, knowing it's expensive and also important. Her hands are a bit steady, almost like when she works on a patient, though, and she's able to deftly open the case and retrieve the item inside.
Yeah, you take out a sort of brass casing. You can feel the weight of it. It's very heavy, probably very expensive.
She begins to, she holds on to it for a moment, sort of close to her chest and pressed, and so she waits for just a minute, a bit with her eyes closed, just letting them get a little bit more adjusted to the dark. Whether or not it's necessary, it's something she would be used to. And after a bit, she just opens her eyes, and at first scans to see what she can see without the spyglass. And after that, she begins to examine more closely using it.
Yeah, you have a look across the town. You raise the spyglass to your eyes, look through it. Think about this. I don't know if this fully makes sense, but I kind of like it. Yeah, you look through the spyglass and it's a little bit blurry.
She looks at the edge of the spyglass. She looks at both ends of it to sort of see that it's been cleaned.
Yeah, you look down, looks fine. You look back out, you realize, just looking without the spyglass out across the town, you can see, you can't take it for granted at first, but now that you're looking closer, you can read the sign above the door of the Wanderlust. You can see that there are 3 fires burning in the town. Looks like maybe a candle or torch, something caught them. There's some fires going. 3 houses at least fully in flames. You look closely, you can see a little dart of a blue jelly, or blue pudding across the street. Catch a little bit of movement in the corner of your eye. You can see better without the spyglass.
Okay, she says to herself as she secures the spyglass back inside of its case, and then taking another deep breath, she continues to just look out. She mentally makes note of the different places and realizes that she'll want to bring the spyglass back inside and bring something to make notes. If she sees signs of the lights, torches, lights inside of a building, movement of people or shadows, things that signify places that people might be holed up, safe houses of some kind.
You see there's a lot of potential for it. There are 3 fires, like 3 fires going in the town. Looks like fires out of control, houses in flames, the separate parts of the town. But you can see that, I mean, a lot of people just dropped what they were doing and ran in the midst of, preparing dinner or whatever they were doing. And, in the candle sense, everyone just left their lights on and ran. So there are some supplies just laying in the streets. You can see doors were left open. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, she makes note of the things that she's already seen, and after spending a few minutes to have done this, she'll collect the case of the spyglass and sort of go back in time, inside, mentally sort of going over in her head the things that she observed. Out of character, it sounds like she didn't really see a an inn or a tavern that just like has all of its doors shut and like a smoke coming out of its chimney or something that suggests like, oh, people might be. Nothing that obvious.
I think with the smoke from the fires and the general disarray of the town itself, it's a little hard to pick out something so specific like that. But you can tell that there's lots of potential for that.
Okay, yeah. She goes back inside, having made note of that. Oh, and then stops. She looks back, goes back to the position and looks it over again. And this time what she's looking for are, she was told where the pudding was. Can she see the pudding and the hearth from where she is?
The buildings, like the warehouses and things near the docks and the market, are a little too tall to directly see the hearth. But I think you do make out the slightest sort of bluish ambient light kind of from that area.
Okay.
Yeah, and for clarity, yeah, you definitely see at some point a small blue pudding kind of dart across the street at some point. You catch a little bit of movement, maybe a gray pudding, and ducks into an alleyway.
All right.
Little things
Just
like
then, so the puddings are just kind of like almost like stray cats, and their placement. You just sort of see one here and there. No real rhyme or reason. Okay.
that. Yeah, got a bit like that. Yeah, roll, if you would, roll a perception, test to just your character's perception. Ooh, it's a natural 20. Out of the corner of your eye, you catch a bit of movement. Maybe a torch. Looking that way, east of the town, kind of the north side along, not quite on the coast, but following that line, you see a group of people headed towards the lighthouse. Pick out some familiar shapes. Some hopping.
Okay. She hurriedly sort of starts to make her way back downstairs to announce to Peach and Esmond and Maria.
You turn and make your way downstairs. And as you're making your way downstairs, it's not like nothing's changed. It's not warmer or nothing's happening with it, but you realize you're just very aware of the piece of jewelry. Down the stairs. Ava. You see Peach, you see Ava coming down. Gwen's with you at that point, and she's helping you go over supplies.
Hey, Peach, I think some of the others are headed this way. Maybe even most of them.
Well, that's good. We should all be in one place, and that makes sense. I'm glad. How did you find that spyglass?
Yeah, it's right. She's carrying it. It's right here. I need to return it. But I couldn't make out anything. There was too much going on to see with any certainty where people might be, so it wasn't successful in that regard. But I did see that their puddings are still moving around in the town. It's still going to be very dangerous if anyone tries to go in there.
Yeah, and what time of day/night is it right now? Is it starting to be morning yet, or like how long until the sky's gonna be light?
It's like 9 o'clock at night-ish, 9:10, something like that.
Oh, I was gonna say we should wait till dawn and maybe they'd be less active, but that's just a shot in the dark, and it's what, 9 o'clock? It'll be dark for hours yet. So, I I feel like once other folks from the senior class get here, you know what I mean. Uh, if Sal or Sifred or Kibeth or them, if they all show up, maybe we can decide if some of us or all of us even should go into the town and look for folks and even start trying to at least see how many puddings there are. At least, I'm not going to say clear them out or nothing, but everybody who's stronger than us is already gone. So we're the best chance Shipper's End's got.
I think that we should just try to get everyone out of town.
Yeah, but there might be folks still in town, is what I'm saying. We need to do a search.
Mm.
We might not get every pudding out of there, but we need to search house to house and at least evacuate. We can let the puddings take the town, but we need to check for survivors.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's what I was thinking too. So I was hoping that there would all be at the hearth, like they said, the big one was, and so we could look safely. But it's just going to be really dangerous. That's all. I'm going to go downstairs to meet them. After I return this. Yeah, she's gonna go off to return the spyglass to its appropriate owner before making her way towards Esmond and Araya to let them know, and then meet other people as they start to approach.
That's good. Meanwhile, south of town. Salinger, you guys are making your way toward the south, and you're getting close to the train tracks. You can see fires burning in the town. There's a light drizzle of rain coming down, smoke curling up above. You've gotten far enough away now from the others where you can't see your families anymore. There's the tall grass rustles a bit. Maybe it's just the wind.
We know the general location of where the train comes in, right? Have we reached the train tracks at this point, or are we just en route?
You're getting quite close.
I suspect, and you can correct me if I'm wrong with this, Sean, but that Shalate would be in the lead, with her hands holding cylinders behind her, and occasionally whispering if there's a hole in the ground in the terrain or a rock to step around. I'm guessing there's no moon available because of the rain.
Yeah, it's like thick clouds right now, starless sky.
Or not moon, Octurne. Oh wait, there's no Octurne anymore either.
Well, there's still the moon debris. There's still a ring, right? So they're big moon shards.
Yeah, at this point, I think she is going to start trying to keep an eye out for any more recent tracks, if she can tell. It's probably very hard.
Yeah, roll a test of such abilities. Oh no.
Nope.
Yeah, it's chaos. People ran through here. sometime. You can't pick anything out of anything.
We're close, right?
Don't know. There is too much trampling around here for me to see anything. They could have been here, but so have been dozens of others, maybe hundreds. I think we might need to keep going further away from town.
Yeah,
Didn't
so
let
it's
him
just,
run off to begin with.
just a moment more. You reach the train tracks themselves. Run north and south. Well, yeah, for the most part. Yeah, you can see the pillars of smoke lit by the fires that are burning in the town itself. You see the beacon atop the lighthouse from this distance. Yeah, no sign of Casey or Kabeth here. Or you have.
Suppose we just keep following these tracks until they see us or we see them. They cannot be too far, but they may have bunkered down for the night as well.
Had a character that only left less than an hour ago, right?
Yeah, something like that. About.
Okay. Yeah, couldn't have gotten too far. Just follow the tracks. We'll run into them.
Or keep an eye out for a teenage Goliath, and if he is stumbling around here, me might be easier to see.
Well, and I'll hear him before I see him. I'm sorry I let him slip off again.
She doesn't really say anything to that, but her hand in his just squeezes for a moment. But
The two of you start following the train tracks headed south. Okay. Yeah, you know they can't be that far ahead of you, but you don't know how long it might take to catch up with them. But you know you're on the right path. Back at the lighthouse. Another book. Araya, Esmond. You've been. Yeah, you're in the small study there in the lighthouse. Shelves of books. The paraphernalia of old navigational equipment, sextant and compass. Esmond, you can't help but notice compasses point in the wrong direction.
Now, before, which part of this book from before has any mention of the pudding?
Esmond will flip through to the appropriate page and slide the book over to Araya. These few here, it's not a lot.
Well, is there? Does it say when they first found these things? Like how long ago? Maybe the last time anything like this has been seen.
There are a couple of entries in the book that you can kind of date because they're references to other things that someone has transcribed or copied. But there are scattered accounts that are spread out, centuries before. So it's sort of, there are a variety of different told and retold accounts of things like this, along with other non-related.
Well, so this this talks about kind of a rather benign thing. Maybe something else happened around this time that more resembles what the puddings have become, and they mistook it for something else. I don't know.
There's some entries here in notes about their natural states, the gray ones, that they're different from something called a jelly family, from the family of oozes or something. I don't know. The notes appear to be sporadic and incomplete. It doesn't encompass a full history, and it doesn't also necessarily give us all the details of how they operate either.
And where these first sightings maybe happened. That this is the ruins, or like a native creature to here that just hasn't been seen in a long time, or...
Is there any mention, DM, of the natural habitat of the puddings?
Like if they hate light, please?
No, there's nothing that really covers a knowledge of the origin of where these things come from. But you do probably... You do realize that all of the mentions of attacks from these creatures, it all involves the puddings, not the jellies.
It's a shame we can't turn pudding into jelly.
No, I'd be too worried about introducing more elements to them to do additional harm to all of us.
Well, stepping on them helped. When they were small.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like... Well, do you think there's anything else in these books that's gonna help, or do we need to observe?
I don't know. I've only had a little bit of time to look through everything, and I've just been scouring quickly for any notes, any mention of stopping them, and I haven't come across anything. I haven't done a full study because I just haven't had the time or focus yet.
Well, we can't do anything truly until morning, so I'll start on this side. And you start on that side. We'll meet in the middle.
Okay. Let's get to it.
Intense study session. Montage.
Slide his glasses on, go, and start reading.
Nerds.
Like the props.
You come back to them later, and they're both sprawled over the books, a little bit of drool puddling on the sheet.
Sometime later, knock on the door. Save. Catching up the timelines.
And she cracks the door open and peeks her head in. Hey, I think the others are headed this way.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to interrupt. I looked at the town. There are jellies. There are puddings that are moving, small ones around the town, and there are probably still people inside of it. We've done a list of everybody who we know the whereabouts of, and we're missing a lot of people. And from everything that I was able to see, it looks like a lot of people just dropped everything and ran, and some of them it's probably safe to assume are in hiding in the town. So Peach and I were thinking that we should some of us or people should go inside, go to town, and try to help and find and bring some of those people back. And we also need supplies. So, was I interrupting? I'm sorry.
No, everything's fine. We were just looking over to Teridian's notes, hoping to find something on the pudding, some kind of weakness that's more obvious than just squishing them with our boots. Give us just a bit longer. We'll see if we can come up with anything. Otherwise, we'll be down and we'll start coming up with a strategy for moving people and gathering resources.
Okay. She backs out of the room and closes the door behind her.
You know, when I had a fire pudding, and I splashed it with water, it didn't. I still had to step on it, and like they reignite. You know, I don't know if like the opposite element is helpful in any. I don't know if any elements technically are helpful.
I think it is helpful even if they can reignite themselves, if just dousing it with something that manages to extinguish or discharge whatever element it is afflicted with, that would prevent you from taking any damage when attacking it initially. Presumably they can be killed like most other living creatures with enough force. It's just that the fire in this instance is a defensive, potentially an offensive ability that it has, and dousing it before and killing it before it has a chance to reignite itself offers an opportunity to, at the very least, kill it before it can do any additional damage to you. So I would say that it's still worth doing.
Do you think that slicing it in half makes it 2 smaller ones?
Based on what Doc and Peach were able to tell me about what happened at the Physiker earlier while I was gone, yes. It sounds like cutting it off, even just a small bit of it, that small bit remains active and alive in a sort of ways and allows it to, I don't know if it would act independently, but certainly it can continue to be a nuisance, if not an actual threat to everyone.
Well, so the big one then, would it be, well, I don't know, smother it, cut it in half, make it a smaller problem? Do you think it's their natural state to want to become all together? Do you think fire ones and elemental, like electricity ones, want to like also merge together, or could they not?
I'm not sure, honestly. The one that we had found in the ruins, when it attacked Ava just before just before it attacked her, I just as a reaction, I used my lightning ability to kind of deflect it, and it seemed to take that and absorb and split itself off, becoming a wholly new pudding afflicted with a different elemental attribute. And they remained separated. I don't know if they want to become one or if they want to remain separated. I've I've never read or seen anything like this before.
Well, she like has her hand like bookmarked to like a line in the pages. Well, maybe we'll find something else.
Yeah, probably shouldn't spend too long on this. It sounds like that we need to start getting ready to figure out how to move people. So let's let's just set a hard time limit, and let's just learn what we can, I guess.
Every bit will help. Yes, yeah.
Ava, probably by this point, you've made it back outside. Probably Peach as well, if you want to be there, or anyone who wants to be. You see, it looks like a convoy of survivors from the east heading, approaching the lighthouse. It's Kabeth's father, Kren, along with several of the others. You see Seifred, her family, Kabeth's family, a lot of Shalati's family. You don't see Shalati or Salinger there, or Yev. Ash kind of comes running up ahead of the others toward you. Ash is a Ladrin, right? Yeah. She's kind of pale against the night, wintry colors. She says, there's danger at the barn, and so we had to come here. It wasn't safe there.
Where's Shalati and Sal?
Shalati and Salinger went to find Casey and Kibeth. They went south to the train tracks.
What kind of danger? What kind of danger at the barn?
Okay. Shalati and I went back to the ranch, and we found that the lambs and sheeps, they were slaughtered. They were dead. They had been burned. And Shalati cut one open, but inside it was like coals, and there was smoke coming, and then they started to ignite on fire, and the puddings that are red, they were there, and we ran away.
Running away is a good move. That was the smart thing to do. Glad you all got here.
But they are in the eastern fields. It's very dangerous.
Yeah, but we can protect everybody if we all stay in one place. We want to get everyone together, and then maybe we can speak to the town as a whole and decide what actions to do next. But come on in, and Doc, is there anybody hurt?
You see the others are beginning to make their way kind of, up the hills towards the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And Kren approaches and, hey, looks like this is everyone. Shalati and Salinger went to find Kabeth and Casey and Yev.
I guess we should all get inside.
Not everyone can fit inside the lighthouse. There's a lot of people. A lot of people are outside.
be like a clown car. No, that's fine. Okay. All right. Yeah, Ava does gives everyone sort of a once over to sort of look to see if everybody seems okay, and then assuming they are, she'll go back inside with to join Cyphered and Peach and Rhea and Esmond and everyone else.
That's good. Yeah. So I think, there are some people in the lighthouse. Some people are inside Julia Summerstone's, like the Summerstone house that's there, kind of at the base of the lighthouse. It's still not big enough for everyone, so there's a lot of people outside in like, we've kind of made makeshift tents or when you've been able to. The people who are injured, they've prioritized to let them inside, but a lot of people are still outside, and there's a bit of rain coming down.
As they're going inside, walking alongside Peach, Ava will ask, "Did you think of some places where we might find food and supplies?"
Yeah, I mean, every restaurant's got a storeroom. I know that. We go to, oh God, I can't even remember the name now. The one where the rough cuts always are.
Yeah, the Wanderlust and the Dry Iron Pub are most likely to have supplies that are pretty close. There's also the Dockside Warehouse. That's also quite close. The market is just a little bit beyond that, but that's quite close to the Hearth itself. And that's where the majority of the supplies were actually abandoned, was at the Hearth.
Well, let's start from the edge of town. We can go to the Dry Iron Pub. We can hit the Wanderlust. And as Peach says the word, her voice cracks a little. I know we've got plenty of things in the back room there. And then we'll keep searching, and as we find folks, we can send them on back to the lighthouse, and we can even have them bring supplies along that we find on the way. It's just gonna take time.
Do we have things to carry the supplies back from town? Is it, because those barrels, I remember some of them seemed big.
I'm going to say Kren's kind of nearby while you guys are having this conversation. He says, hey, are you guys talking about going into the town? I thought we were all going to try to get on that train and get out of here.
We are. I'm just saying one or two of us go through and check for anybody who might be hiding away under their beds and terrified and doesn't know the rest of us are leaving.
Well, I mean, that's a good idea. It just seems, that seems really dangerous. What if, it seems like everyone's safe here, but what if we stir those things up and make them mad?
We're all gonna evacuate on that train tomorrow morning, as soon as it comes in. So we've got about 12 hours to go through and find anybody else who might be alive there. I'm not gonna let anyone let anyone else get hit by any of that. I'm not gonna watch somebody get dusted if I can avoid it. So I'm gonna go through, if I have to do it myself, and see if there's anyone around in town and get him out.
Yeah, Gwen kind of pops up and she says, Yeah, I've been wanting, if we're doing an expedition to town, I want to go.
Well,
we got people to look for.
Well,
no, it's gotta be a small group.
And we're trying.
I spent an inspiration on her.
Trying to balance a lot of things with who goes into town. We do have to find people, but we're also trying to find some supplies, because even though we want everyone to get on the train, it's several days before the next town. So people will need food. We have really old people, and they need something to eat.
What's Kabeth's dad's name again?
Kren.
Yeah, Kabeth excuse me, Peach would add, and Cran, we need somebody to look out for the littler kids and keep an eye out for everyone. And we only need 1 or 2 folks to go into town and just look as quickly as we can. You know, me and someone else can get in there real quick, real quiet, just go house to house. We'll try not to stir anything up, but it should just be as small as we can. We can't be bringing more folks into danger.
Yeah, Kren says, well, I don't want to go, but, yeah, just, oh, that just seems really dangerous. I would just be real careful.
We're gonna try to stick to the outskirts as much as we can, and I think whoever goes will try to be as smart as we can, and maybe it's just a plan. It's not. We haven't done anything yet, and we'll be really as smart as we can about it. We're not gonna rush in, and we're gonna try to do the right thing. So we know it's dangerous.
Okay. Well, so what's the plan right now? You guys are going to go search for people and supplies, and then when are we going to the train?
We're still deciding that, but we don't want everyone to wait around outside for hours while it's raining outside, waiting for the train. So we'll probably try to time it so that everyone can arrive where the train is supposed to be outside of town about when the train is supposed to arrive.
Okay, well, I've sent Gabath to get supplies before when the train came in to the post office, and that's going to be tomorrow, like before lunchtime. So we're going to be here all night.
Maybe. We haven't decided yet, so we're still we're still in the process of trying to do the details of that, but we're working on it. As soon as we get back inside and can talk to everyone.
Actually, are most folks here now? And she kind of looks to Ava and to Kabeth's dad, but also kind of just around. It also asks the DM. Is everybody kind of like around-ish?
You might estimate like half-ish of the town's population is here. Yeah. I'm not sure where the other half is.
Peach would sort of, oh, yeah. Peach would look over at Ava and say, we need to start making decisions. Where's Asnarea? Let's talk to the other members of the senior class, right? Let's chat the 4 of us, 5 of us, whoever are here, and we'll decide who's going to go into the town. And then we got to share some information with people. They're waiting for answers. They're waiting for this train all night. So we need to set up some patrols, because at least that did work. So they can keep an eye out for any of the fire jellies, any of those electric jellies. And if we start getting things organized, then people feel like they've got jobs. And if you keep busy, then time will pass real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
So she'd kind of lead the way and be looking to find Azarea and any all PCs in the area.
Okay, yeah. Before too long, you've gathered, the 4 of you. Shalati, Salinger, Casey, obviously not there. Cyphered, say she's in earshot, but she's wrangling all the kids.
That sounds like the fluffiest and funnest job of all of us right now. Yeah, so Ava just wraps up with, I guess, repeating most of the same stuff you've already just heard.
Yeah, cut to the conversation segueing to Aurea, and as having heard that all.
So, what do you guys think about stuff?
Well, I promised Gwen that I would help look. But I don't know if it's safe to go at night. I was kind of hoping I'd wait till daylight. But then if the train is waiting, we need to get people going. And
Well, the train won't get in until about 10 a.m. or
that's...
so.
Do you think he's going to stop it just right out of town?
Yes?
Wouldn't that attract...
I don't know. I thought that was the plan, because
I know what array means. Wherever Casey ends up putting it, we're going to have a hike to the train. So the sooner we get everybody double checked and ready to leave, the better.
why?
Because it could be hours of us walking across or around town just to get all the old folks and kids to the train itself, depending on where Casey ends up crashing the damn thing.
That's true, but that period of time doesn't change no matter how long or when we leave. It's the same distance and the same travel time. If we left at 9 o'clock in the morning and it takes 2 hours to get there, it's the same as if we left right now. And the only difference is the longer we wait, the more likely the train is to be stopped someplace. And so if we go right now, the train probably won't be anywhere close. We would just continue walking along the tracks. And if we wait, if we end and leave until noon, the train would potentially have been stopped somewhere outside of town for like 2 hours. But it wouldn't change the amount of time, and we would have the benefit of most people being able to see instead of going at night.
That's true. We'd be taking everyone in.
Oh,
So, do you really think we should search the town right now then? I mean,
I think we should
pretty
search the town
sneaky.
now. I don't think that we should try to evacuate everybody from here on to the train. I think we should set up a few watches. Ans, you're good at that, right? Setting up watches. And she kind of, her voice cracks again as she cracks the stupid watch pun.
Esmond has had his eyes closed this entire time. He's just been listening to y'all talk. But you see his eyes moving underneath his eyelids, just absorbing all the information. Okay. So, what we have is a group of people leaving to go find the train, stop it, to evacuate civilians from this village into the next town as soon as feasible. We don't know where that train is going to be or when it's going to be stopped.
Ava's right. That actually isn't as much of a time pressure as I thought it was. Wherever it does stop, we will just walk to it however long it's gonna take. That's not
yes.
as much of a...
However, the issue is going to be moving the townsfolk. Say we are able to gather enough supplies and find all the civilians all surviving civilians that are hiding in the town. We are going to have to maneuver carefully, trying to find anyone that we can, and we're also going to have to be even more careful moving, and he gestures towards the lighthouse, everybody here to the train to not draw the attention of the giant pudding in the center of town or any puddings that are just hanging out on the far reaches of the town that haven't joined with the giant chicken for one reason or another. The issue becomes a matter of how quickly we can move people and on and on how wide of a berth do we need to give this giant group of people? How wide a berth do we need to give them to get around the town without drawing attention, but also move quickly so that we can get to the train as soon as possible? Is what it boils down to. We need to gather supplies. We need to find civilians, and we need to track the safest and most secure paths to finding all of those things. We can't afford to search the entire town with
I'm
the
saying
threats
I'm
of
sorry.
that chicken. We need to come up with several safe paths that all lead to the same source of supplies that we're going to need, and we can split people among those different paths to check for survivors there, grab the supplies, and return back here to the lighthouse. And by that time, hopefully it'll be close to dawn, and that's when we can start heading out.
So what Ava and I were discussing earlier is we can pretty easily hit the Dry Iron Pub and the Wanderlust, and at least check those storerooms there. That's nowhere near the center of town where the concentration of the jellies are. So at least we can go there. At least we can get supplies. When it comes to the town folk, everybody who's here already, we can't move to evacuate them till dawn anyway, and the train ain't even stopped yet. So that is all something that's a problem for tomorrow us, right, Ava?
Yeah,
So for tonight, what we got to decide, Peach talks right over Ava. She just wanted confirmation. So as I was saying, and Ava agrees with me, is we got to figure out what to do tonight. For the night that we have this 8-hour chunk. Are we going to spend it waiting around, or are we going to spend it searching for people and searching for supplies? We can be active or we can wait, because we're going to have to wait regardless. It's how we're going to use this time. I'm going to go and look for folks.
Yeah, I want to go look. I promised I'd look.
We're going to look for supplies, and we're going to look for people. But before we leave, we need to see if we can map out the safest way to reach the points of interest that we want to get to.
I don't understand why we need to map it out. We know this town as easy as anyone, and these things could come out of nowhere. They could be as small as your hand. Let's just go.
well, there are some fires that are raging kind of out of control, and that might limit some of the places that we can normally turn, and some of the pathways we could typically go down.
Not to mention, if anyone actually comes across any of those fires that are raging, that risks them getting caught in it, and they become another person that requires rescue. We don't need a lot of time, Peach. We just need 10 minutes at the top of the lighthouse to get as good a view as we can of the town, and hopefully we can sketch out what might be the safest routes to anywhere that we need to go to.
I had an idea also that we can, I just don't know if it's smart or it's not smart. We probably can't do the whole town, but we could use the lighthouse to signal people tonight. We just turn it around, and then we can use Lux code to sort of notify the people who might be in hiding. And then that might notify people that we don't even have to go see. They might come on their own towards the lighthouse.
Yeah. The puddings can't read the code. I can't read the code.
Yeah, I was wondering about the pudding going toward the light, but there's been no evidence of that.
I don't know. It might be dumb, but It's just an idea.
No, I like it. I think that's a good idea. Eva.
It's a little knock on the door. Julie Summerstone kind of peeks her head in. Hello?
Remind me what species Julie is.
No. Says, I just want to say, you probably, we need to find somewhere to put all the people that get in Lighthouse or my cabin. There's judging by the look of it, probably tomorrow morning that storm's gonna hit town.
Well, if it's raining, maybe we could see what it's doing to the chickens pudding. I'm really sneaky, so no one can see me, and I could look a little bit easier, I think.
I just mean it's gonna rain a lot.
Is there enough room at the train stop for people to shelter inside of it?
No.
Oh.
No, it's pretty small. There's a big loading platform, but it wouldn't help with the rain.
Are there any ships?
No. There's supposed to be a ship that was supposed to come in a couple of days ago. Never arrived.
Well, okay. So instead of telling people to come here, we'll signal for anyone who sees it to just start walking along the tracks. And then, I don't know, or no, they'll still be caught in the storm outside.
And they'll still come here. Half of us don't know Lux code. We'll just go toward whatever's blinking and has people at it.
Okay.
The farmlands are 30 minutes from here. If we have to start moving people to the barns because we're running out of space at the lighthouse, we'll have to make do. No one's going to be comfortable. Everyone is going to be exhausted, but we
can't do that. They came here from that place because they said their fire puddings were like around there and attacking or something like that. Okay, so where can we put people?
We can't. But the lighthouse, it's the only secure location that we have now. There are no ships in the docks. There's nowhere safe in town that we can move to. So we either send people here to the lighthouse to remain as uncomfortable but out of the storm as they can, or we tell people to move to begin walking alongside the tracks to start making their way before this larger group does.
What about the tunnel?
Traveling at night and the rain's not going to be any easier than doing it tomorrow. I'm with you as I think it sucks, but might just be everybody gets real wet.
Could we put people in the tunnels? I know, okay, this sounds, again...
The tunnels that all just collapsed and killed the mayor, maybe?
The tunnels where the slimes came from?
What are you... No, we will not put them in the tunnels.
Well, I mean, maybe that is a really bad idea, but it seemed like all of them came out, so maybe if they came out here, there are none in there.
Girl, you are doing great. You've got like 90% amazing ideas today. I do not think we should put anybody underground in the place where slimes come from.
It's not an outright bad idea. The issue is moving people in and out of those tunnels more than anything, I think. Potentially, you could be right. The puddings could all be gone from there, but to Peach's point, they might not all be gone. It's I don't know. I
What
don't
about
know.
the mines?
Other side of town. You'd
Also, it's
basically
not stable.
you'd basically have to walk through the town in order to get to them.
Okay.
While you guys brainstorm, meanwhile, in the south.
Ooh.
Salinger, Schlatti. You've been following his train tracks. Feels like forever now. It's one slat of wood, metal rail, after another. Stumble in the dark here and there. I've gotten used to the sound of insects, night birds. Did you hear a break in the rhythm? Cicadas. Snapping. Twig. Get you a little bit of movement. Just the very edge of your vision, Schlatti, up ahead. Kind of a shape. Just barely make it out against the dark. Steps out on the train tracks.
Sort of shape. Is it bipedal?
I'm not sure. You'd have to get a little bit closer.
She instinctively freezes and sinks down to the ground, pulling Sal with her. And then is going to start creeping closer, low down, so that their silhouettes aren't, being highlighted against anything.
Duck down, move off the train tracks a bit off to the side, a little trough beside them.
I mean, she's gonna keep moving until it either moves or she can tell what it is, or
Do you have
they see it.
Do you have Salinger with you, or have you left him behind?
No, I think she was pulling him along.
Okay. Creep a little bit closer. Let me have you both roll a test of how quietly your character moves, along with, well, just for Schlatti, how keen your eyes are.
First one was the stealth, second one was the perception.
Yeah. As quiet as you can, a little bit each step. A little bit of grass, little leaf crunches under your feet, but moving quietly. You get close enough to pick out the silhouette of this thing. It's almost bird-like, a little bit reptilian. You can see plumage, sleek, folded back along its body, long tail, sharp features, snout almost like a hunting dog, but furless, feathers instead. Moves like a bird. You've never seen anything like this before, but you've heard a story about it once. You've heard Salinger mention it.
Story.
Auronachus.
That actually means literally nothing to me as a player.
The night before. In the barn. Bunnies are gathered around. Ears perked.
The night before, you mean 2 hours ago?
Yeah, I guess. Sorry, kind of putting you on the spot here.
I can tell.
Big glassy eyes stare up at Salinger. Ears perked. Antlers. Hooves. All the children.
All right, so lots gonna happen tomorrow. And you all gotta be brave. Know what it takes to be brave, don't you?
Huh?
Well, somebody tell me then. That didn't sound very brave to me.
Oh. We're gonna do everything you say to do. We're not gonna be scared.
No. Oh, okay. All right, I'm gonna tell you a story. My papa's grandpapa used to tell. It's an old fairy tale. And it's gonna tell you how you need to be brave when we get out of here in the morning. It's not just following. It's not just listening. I'm gonna tell you a little story about someone named Balthus the Brave. You heard of Balthus before?
Oh, Balthus. Sounds familiar.
Lots of stories about him over the years. All of them a little bit different, called his ballads. And he wasn't brave because he was big or because he was strong. Wasn't brave just because he listened to everybody. Or that he ran in the right direction or fought everything he could. That's not what bravery is. Traveled from place to place, met all kinds of folks. Big ones, small ones, scaly ones, furry ones with horns on their heads, hooves for the feet, tails even.
It's like me.
Yeah, like you. In this story, he earned this of many of his nicknames by showing exactly what bravery looked like. He was wandering as he did, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, sometimes for years, and he stopped in a little town, not too different from Shepherd's End. It was in the middle of a swamp. Bubbly, stinky, warm, putrid swamp. That in itself is a little bit brave to cross through, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
Well, it depends on who you are. Some people like swamps.
I like swamps.
Yeah, I knew you did. The folks in that swamp never left. They stayed in their bog where it was stinky, where the birds chirped and the insects buzzed and the water boiled and bubbled their whole lives. Rarely got travelers. Who's going to go into that bog? Not most folk. Because on the edge of town there was something they were all afraid of.
What was it?
Oh, they never knew. Not till Balthus came to town. And he said he'd go find out for them. It was just something they were all afraid of. There'd be claw marks on the trees. Things would just go missing.
What?
Mm-hmm. But nobody went out there and ever looked. Because that's what fear is. And fear is the opposite of bravery. So Balthus went trudging out through that swamp, one step at a time, sticky and murky and mucky and bitey and buzzy and bubbly. Followed those scratch marks and those tracks.
What do you find?
Not what they were afraid of. Not what they thought they were afraid of. They thought there was some great beast out there that if they ever tried to leave the swamp would hunt them all down, rip them to shreds.
Well, the ears fold back.
Yeah, well, that's not what it was. It was just this little bird lizard. Didn't even have a name at the time.
Ears perk forward.
Balthus walked up towards it. Was chowing down on something. Gator, I think. But it changed every time Dad told the story. Sometimes lost track of details. And then he stopped, right as that little critter perked up its head. You know what he did?
What do you do?
It stared at him, and he stared right back, and they just stared there for, well, a long time. Every time he started to turn, that critter started to move towards him. What he realized, you turn your back on it, it's going to chase you down. So he walked backwards all the way through the swamp, retracing his steps, through the muck, through the bubbles, through the buzzing, through the chirping and all the stinky spaces till he made his way back weeks later, because it's hard to walk backwards, isn't it?
Yeah. You see one of the
All the way back
bunnies
to
gets
town.
up and starts walking backwards through the room, falls over.
Whoa, 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 whoa. That's not the point of the story. Don't be walking backwards everywhere. You're going to fall down.
Sorry.
It's okay. The things you're afraid of, the things you don't know. And we know what we're going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're all going to make it to that train. We're going to stay together. We're going to run if we have to, but we're not going to stop and ask questions. You're not going to wait to listen because we already know. And if you know, you're brave. So every one of you is brave like Balthus, right?
Yeah, brave like Balthus.
Good. And if you see an Auronachus, you stare it straight in the eyes.
Auronachus. Back in the forest.
I think that might be my favorite moment yet in the session.
This reptilian creature cranes its head in your direction. Doesn't quite seem to look right at you. Maybe sniffs the air. You see some of its feathers to you, black and white in the night, kind of ruffle up. It moves like a thing that hunts. But it's about the size of probably up to your shoulders. Thin arms, long legs, long tail. The arms don't quite reach the ground. Cranes its head back down, starts to sniff the ground.
Shalati freezes, stock still, and then begins to creep backward until she is about level with Salinger and says very quietly, "You know those tales about an Auronachus?"
Yes.
He's like barely breathing this in his ear. She's trying to make herself heard, but not heard beyond like this little space. How true are they? And if we keep walking backward, are we going to be okay?
Well, it depends on which version of the story you believe, I guess. Fairy tale works out well. Some of the more historical texts, less conclusive, but they are very fast and their teeth are very sharp.
Well, can you see that shadow, that lump on the tracks?
It's just all darkness to you.
Let's keep moving back because I see something that looks very much like one of your stories on the track, and I don't think we want to encounter it.
He just very quietly whispers, "Yep," and tries to walk backwards slowly while not falling down.
You guys begin back very slowly. Charlotte, you can still kind of see the creature. You see it standing in the midst of the train tracks for a moment. Then it cranes its head up and looks in the opposite direction down the tracks. There's a chirping sound that comes from it, and two more of the creatures rush out from the brush on the other side of the train tracks and join it. And then there's another chirping sound. All three of them dart off into the forest.
Clever girls. She should be very quiet. Fuck. It has friends.
You know, it never said anywhere in the stories what to do if they see you and you don't see them.
I suspect because there's nothing to do.
Wait,
Here,
back to back, back to back. And he turns so we're both looking in opposite directions.
I think you hear the rustling in the bushes as they run off into the forest, but you hear the sound getting away from you.
They seem to be leaving. I just hope. I hope the others didn't encounter them.
Yeah, that would be unpleasant.
I was smelling something on the tracks. Wait. Stay right here. And she is going to let go and then start moving up. Well, she's going to wait for a good 3 to 5 minutes or so to give them time to move away. And then she's going to move up and try to see if there was blood on the tracks or if it's something else that she can see.
Yeah, when you get there, you see something familiar. It's a bit of the dried meat snack that Agatha always makes for Yev, wrapped in a corn husk. Someone's eaten it, discarded the corn husk off the tracks.
He no longer attempting to be stealthy, runs back to Salinger and says, It looked like a ration for one of my family uses. We have to go after them."
You don't have to hold my hand. I can follow the side of the track. You run as fast as you need to.
She hesitates, and she probably can't see this in the darkness, but she looks like she wants to argue this and hovers there for a good 5 seconds before she nods and starts to move away, but not as fast as she can go. She wants to stay within maybe 30 feet of him. Begins. It feels like a very small weapon, but she has the pitchfork and the sling in the other hand.
Meanwhile, Casey. It sounds like you're playing something, but
without hesitation, your sister runs and leaps, vaulting over the river without a moment's hesitation. It was so glorious, and she landed on the other side with the fire.
Wait. Double check your mic, because it's really hard to hear you.
1, 2, 1, 2. One moment. One, two, 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Is that better? Were you able to hear the guitar at all?
Not really. It was like filtering it out.
No,
We heard
unlucky.
like 2 or 3 chords. Wait, you're not transmitting now. Oh no.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Yes, not gonna hear
But without hesitation, your sister runs and leaps, grabbing onto the tree and vaulting over the river, landing firmly on the other side with a fire burning in her eyes. It was quite the day. This Casey, with his hood up to shield from the rain, trudges alongside Yev, with his backpack on, along the tracks. He says, "We do."
That sounds just like her.
Yes, just like her. We probably don't need to go too far beyond town.
Wait, I lost track. Are we heading back to town, or are we still going down away from town? I can't tell with the rain.
We're going south to meet the train.
Okay.
And we're supposed to stop it so that we can load people on to take them to next town over.
Okay. How long? Oh, we're gonna be out here all night, aren't we?
Yes, that is the plan.
Oh, okay. It's a good thing that Gebeth is looking ahead.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll circle back around yet again.
So what do we do with all these things we found? The sticks.
Yeah, those will certainly come in handy. We'll just hang on to them for the moment.
Okay.
The trick will be talking to Otto.
Yeah, how are we going to get them to stop the train out here in the middle of nowhere?
He's a reasonable guy. I'm sure he'll listen to reason.
He always yelled at me.
Yeah, me as well.
He had a bowl of candies and I tried to take one. Just one. And he got really mad.
Yeah, that sounds like Otto. But this is different. You know, the circumstances have changed.
Yeah. Well, wait. How are we going to get them to stop? Doesn't how about we tell them, like, hey, we're here?
Say again?
How are we going to tell them, like, how are we going to wave at them to stop the train?
Well, we're gonna be on the train before it stops.
But, what do you mean? The stop that they want, the train station is
So-
very far.
Right, we're not going all the way to meet the train, but when it comes, we'll run alongside of it and climb aboard. And then
We're
we
gonna have
can
to
move up
run
to
so
the...
fast.
Well, if you time it right, you don't have to go that fast. It's all about timing, as are most things in life. Yeah.
Okay.
And then once aboard, we can go up to the engine and let Otto know what's happening.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan.
But like I said, it's several hours until the train will come, so we don't have to walk until we meet it. We can kind of set up a bit outside of town and wait for it to come to us.
Okay. As you and Yev are talking, catch a bit of movement in the corner of your eye. Something behind you on the train tracks. Just got a glimpse of it.
Yeah, Casey goes quiet but continues walking alongside Yev, and he kind of moves over closer to him. Says in a lower tone of voice, "You saw those tracks near the dwarf's body."
I did. It's like a chicken. What big?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, you saw what it did to the dwarf.
Yeah. What, do you think we should be worried?
Worried, no, but just know that if we do see it, it's not going to show you mercy. So you should not show it mercy.
Oh. I have my shovel. And we have these sticks.
That and I just heard something behind us, so
What?
maybe following us now.
Spins around.
Nope. He grabs him and kind of spins him back around. Walk. There's a chance it's hunting us. If it knows that we know that it's hunting us, then it'll change what it's doing.
What do we do?
We act like everything's normal until it makes a move.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And when it makes a move, we're ready for it.
Okay. Good idea.
Casey reaches into his cloak, pulls out a dagger that's adorned like the other weapons that were found in the mines.
Mm-hmm.
And spins it around once. Says, yeah. Just listen for fast approaching footprint.
Okay. Shalati. Salinger. You see a clump on the just beside the train tracks up ahead. Some cloth. Maybe some meat.
Her breath catches in her throat, and forgetting tiredness, forgetting the fact that she'd run from the farm to the barn. They haven't had any sleep since the morning. She hurries up and throws herself down next to it and rolls this clump over.
You, as you get close, meat and exposed bone fabric. It's definitely the remains of a body. Some disturbances in the ground around it, and the dirt and stuff around it.
Does it smell?
Yeah, actually, more than likely would. We'll say you were upwind of it, so you didn't notice it just now. But, yeah, buzzing of flies.
Oh, not them. And having determined that it's not them, because it is too old for that, she immediately abandons the body and starts looking for the next track or any other signs.
Yeah, it's quite dark, but Salinger, you get close enough to. The boot looks familiar. A belt buckle. You've seen it before. You realize this body is. This is Graham.
He drops to a knee. Oh. Shit, Graham. And he'll take a piece of cloth, something that he's got on him, and just cover the body.
Yeah, you've probably got a travel cloak or travel cape. No. Toss it over him.
Guess those curses are gonna stick. Just kind of wipes his eye a little bit, and then slowly stands back up. He's shaking a little.
You see, look in the area, area's been disturbed quite a bit. Let me have you each, Salinger with disadvantage, roll like a perception.
It's okay. I can give you half of my critical.
Yeah, Shalati, you can see in the dirt where something with a hard edge, like a box, was dropped, then picked up. You see some footprints. You catch a familiar shape of Casey's footprint and the larger one of Yev. They were here. Judging by the amount of disturbance from the rain and the prints, wasn't too long ago.
Her face is gone closed and intense, and she says, "This way," and starts after him. She is definitely moving for speed now, not stealth in any way.
Shalati, Salinger, moving down the tracks. Meanwhile, back at the lighthouse. Krent says, okay, let me hear the plan one more time.
There ain't so much of a plan as a impromptu, plan-shaped conversation. Ideally, we will all be gathering together once the train stops, wherever the train stops, and hike the safest way we can to that location, no matter how long it might take. we're gonna scout out and see if there's safer ways to go, any routes that we can notice. But that all has got to wait till morning anyway. In the meantime, some of us all are going to go into the town, just the edges, if we can, and see if we can't grab some supplies from the dry iron and the wanderlust. And we'll also have that light from the house itself turned in on the town, flashing for any and all to see. And it's the last kind of beacon to get out of ship's end. And hopefully we'll all be on the train out of town tomorrow.
All right.
Do you think we should send... We'll fit everyone inside the lighthouse that we can, but the sick and the oldest and the ones that can't move, but for everyone who can, should we just send them along the tracks now? They're gonna spend the night outside one way or the other, and they won't be sheltered by the storm, but it'll be fewer people that we have to try to move all at once.
I don't know if I like the idea of taking the most vulnerable and keeping them here and sending out the more able-bodied folks on the road themselves. It feels like we should all travel as a group, and it would be safe for everyone, especially once it's light. I'm sure folks would rather be safe than dry.
Okay. I'll go look and start to try to map out the town and places that I think that would be good routes. And tell Julie, I guess, to do the lighthouse, turn the beacon so it faces the town and signal people. What should it say?
Is Esmond and Araya also here?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
But I
cool.
have
Just
no
wanted to
idea what it should
I
say.
just wanted to confirm that the 4 lighthouse folks were in the room. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what it says. What all did you have it say before it is? I mean, you know Lux Code better than the rest of us. What's a quick and easy, come this way, meet, a safety help?
How about bring supplies to a lighthouse?
Well, I think a long message is we want it on repeat so that if they happen to see it, that it's like maybe here, or come here.
Lighthouse secure. Survivors bring supplies.
Yeah, honestly, the folks who know Lux Code are going to be able to decode the whole thing, and the rest are going to go to the flashlight, so I think it's okay.
No, you're right. That's smart.
Okay, I'll do something short like that and tell her, and I'll map stuff out. I'll be upstairs if you decide anything else, and
Well,
just tell me.
while you're up there, Ava, use those whatever spyglass you were using before. She kind of nods to Ava's circlet. You know, or whatever kind of technology you might have there. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by Jess's camera going off.
Sorry,
No, it's not your fault at all. I just was like, oh no, it's blinking on and off.
Mm-hmm. She's
Yeah, sorry, just a second.
She nods and sort of just makes her way up.
Yeah, so the spyglass, let us know if there's any particular route that looks better or worse, but I think, and she'd look toward Ava, or excuse me, toward Araya. Araya, you and me, and I mean, Az and Ava, if you want to come along too, but I know Araya's quick and fast. I know I can see in the dark and pretty quick too. Do you all want to come along with, or should it just be the two of us going to look for supplies?
I'd rather all of us go. We could circle just the outskirts, as far from the hearth as possible, and maybe
Oh,
we can find.
I'd love them to come along too. I don't want you to feel like you have to or like I'm bullying you into it. I know I can push you over sometimes, Ava.
I don't know where I should be. I can't.
If someone needs help, I need your help to help them.
Okay, I'll come.
Ava, we need you. Esmond, we need you. This is. We're going where it's most dangerous, or where we know it's most dangerous, to hopefully just evacuate a few more people from town and have the supplies to feed everyone.
I can't help people here if they get hurt, if we get hurt in town, so. But I'll go with you. If that's best.
Oh, I thought you'd helped everyone here.
I did, but if more people come from the signal.
Oh.
There may be people in town that are injured that might need your immediate assistance. Everyone here at the lighthouse, while injured, everyone is stable currently.
Oh, and anyone who could make it here would probably be mostly stable too.
Okay, sure. I'll, did you guys, I don't know, I can do that, I guess, but you should warn them about people who have a fever and the symptoms, because if someone shows up and they're sick, that could be bad, so they need to keep that person. I don't know exactly what they need to do. Anyway, I'll go.
Well, Ez, your mom could help. Maybe if people arrive, she can, in a gentle way, kind of set aside anybody who is exhibiting some of the worst, the scary symptoms.
And who's the person who owns the lighthouse? I'm sorry, I forgot her name again.
Julie Summerstone?
Summerstone. And Ava, we could have Miss Summerstone make some kind of announcement, or ask her if there's a place to set aside people like a quarantine.
Okay. Well,
anyone with a fever has to go be in this room and have guard on them. And we should set up watches too. That worked really well at the farm. We were able to see when the jellies were coming toward us.
Okay, I'll get everyone prepared inside with Julie, and you guys work about, and I'll do the routes and look at stuff, and then you guys do the patrols and get people prepared outside, and we'll come back and I'll get my stuff ready and go with you guys into town.
Meet back here in a quarter candle.
Okay.
Okay, so as you guys break, who is physically going where?
Ava's going to the top of the lighthouse with some paper to map out different potential routes and ones that might be blocked and where she saw enemies and jellies and anything like that. Then she's going to talk to Julie Summerstone to do exactly what Peach just suggested and set up. I'll do the rest of it, but that's where Ava's going.
Husband?
Esmond will help Ava route out or draw out secure routes and talk with his mom and ask her to keep an eye out for survivors making their way from the village.
Okay. Araya, where you go?
I'm going to check the current survivors to see if anybody has a fever and hasn't mentioned. So she'll make her way around who is there and maybe let a few key people that maybe she recognizes as like helpers, like what the plan to leave in the morning through the rain to the train.
That sounds good. Peach?
Peach would be talking to anybody who is kind of at those borderline ages, relatively in good shape, like the kids who are like the 9 and 10-year-olds, the older folks who are, anyone who can do the watches, and she'd be sort of setting it up so that there'd be at least 2 people like on lookout for either survivors coming in or any problems from town, and they'd be on shift.
All right, sounds good. We'll say Kren's volunteered to be one first who'll take a watch, and he says, well, if we see something, what do we do?
Run as fast as you can toward the train or beyond it. We don't know how to fight these things. So if you see fire, if you see lightning, you round up everyone here and you get as far away as you can.
All right. Meanwhile, on the train tracks. Casey, you hear the steps. First, you just barely picked it up, and it seems to be happening so fast. Something's running closer on the train tracks.
Oh, I turn,
Spin around.
brandish my blade.
There's a little glint, perhaps. Charlotte, Casey, you see each other on the tracks.
Oh, see, I nearly stabbed you.
Pauses and then looks for Yev.
You see Yev standing there. There's a shovel in his hand, eyes big.
She shoves right by Casey and grabs Yev around the shoulders and just grabs him in a hug. And then pushes him away and says, "How could you be so stupid?"
Okay, yeah. At first he panics, it looks like he's going to swing, and then he realizes it's you because he can't see in the dark. And yeah, he like pauses and you hug him and he's like, Charlotte, you scared us. Yep,
Did you know that Auronachus is stalking you?
there was some mention.
I have gotten after you so many times not to throw away your corn husks. After you've done eating, there are places to keep them. You can throw them in the trash. You don't just...
But, oh, jeez. That's how you get.
Casey kind of looks to Yev from behind Charlotte and just goes,
Okay. Hey, we found the thing. How are you?
Stops and looks at him and then looks at Casey. And then suddenly remembers and looks back over her shoulder for Salinger and for any potential predators lurking in the bushes.
Yeah. You don't see anything immediately. But you just see Salinger's there.
And then she says, "The farm, or the ranch, Kenny Ranch, all the animals were slaughtered by the fire dillies. And they were coming out from the corpses of the alpaca and the sheep. So we had to move from the barn. We sent everybody to the lighthouse at Mr. Kren's insistence. But we came out, also at his insistence, we came out to find you and warn you where to keep it."
Scudding ahead.
You didn't need to come. We have our
Well-
task.
Well, if we hadn't come, then Mr. Kren would have come himself, and he cannot see it tonight. It was me or Ash.
So you've volunteered.
Not really. That was the only other choice. But also, yeah, I left you in place because that is... You can't see in the dark either. I don't even know how you found Casey.
I thought he was all going to the train tracks. Casey needs my help. Crane and Cypher, they could take care of the kids. And I had to help.
I mean, he's obviously making his way just fine.
Anyway, there are 3 of those beasts, and they're hunting you. I don't think out here is safe anymore.
We haven't encountered any beasts.
Surely you walked past the body next to the tracks.
We did.
It's actually at that moment. Get you a little bit of movement on the train tracks behind you. Those have dark vision. Emerging from the edge of your vision, stepping along the tracks. Keen stare, feathers. Slow steps stalking toward you. Auronachus.
Casey swiftly ducks around Shalati to the back of Yev. Just gonna grab something out of here real quick. Starts ruffling through his bag.
Okay.
Just the one?
Yeah, you just see one.
She calls out. Sorry, can I get a picture of where people are standing? On what side is the Auronachus?
Yeah, you guys are just standing together in a cluster in conversation on the train tracks, and it is approaching from the north.
Salati plants herself on the north side and calls back over her shoulder. There were 3 of them. Keep an eye on that side. The ones who cannot see at this time, stay in the center.
Yeah,
There's about to be 2. Pulls up a stick of dynamite out of the bag.
She is not looking back, so she does not see that.
Stick of dynamite in your hand. As you spin around, the one on the train tracks seems to freeze where it's stepping. You see it kind of lowers its head down in this predatory fashion. Feathers kind of furl up on the other side of it. And there's even the people with dark vision, without dark vision, can see as the feathers bioluminesce into brilliant colors of magenta, teal.
Kind of lovely if you stop to think about it. And he pulls out his lighter that Ez made for him.
All right, lighter in
Gives it
hand.
a spark.
Roll a d6. If you get a 5 or 6, it lights. Ooh, it's a 4. It's just a spark. As soon as it flashes up, you see the colors on the Auronachus almost seem to vibrate, and then it dashes running towards you at full speed.
Salati has been brandishing the pitchfork, and then she yells and basically tries to make herself as big as possible, knowing what she knows about predators as much as, maybe they won't try to take something that looks like a fight.
All right, give us a roll for how scary Shalati could be.
Oh, she definitely gets advantage for that.
I was gonna say, do I do a 1d4 for this? Not very.
8 on the die, plus 3 for an 11. It doesn't seem to intimidate the Auronachus as it might something else. The dogs or the coyotes that prowl around at the edge of the farm. This creature leaps at you, covering an impressive distance. Roll a test of if you want to try to dodge out of the way or if you want to try to fend it off. How do you deal with this? This thing leaps through the air. It's making a slash at you with like a claw on its foot.
Does it look like its momentum would carry it beyond me if I dodged?
Yeah.
Okay, then yeah, she's going to try and stab the pitchfork at it.
All right, give it a roll. Yeah, it's a lot of 8s from Charlotte. Ooh, 13 on the die.
Are you good at baling hay?
Should probably have forked a fair amount of hay and straw in her life. But,
Right.
I mean, should I? Should I?
It's up to you if you think this is something that she has experience with or would be good at.
Using a pitchfork for what's normally for, sure. Stabbing a creature flying in midair at her?
Yeah, maybe less so. Okay. You jab the pitchfork out at this thing, and you manage to fend it off just enough that as the claw swipes down at you, it cuts into the top of your thigh, but not too deeply. There's blood, stinging, burning pain, but you manage to shove the thing away, and it squawks out audibly at each of you, and stumbles back. It looks like the pitchfork sunk in just a bit into the torso of its body. You hear rustling in the bushes on your left and your right.
Sal would immediately face the direction of one of the sounds, holding a hand up.
Yeah, Salinger, you spin around, and you can hear it. You can't see it. There's something out there.
Casey.
Oh, good.
Casey curses in a foreign language that he often talks to Ez in, and then says another word that you've heard him say before. Translates to focus. He snaps. And when he does, a ball of flame erupts into his palm.
Ooh, nice. Yev goes running forward past Shalati with a shovel in hand. Takes a big swing of his shovel at this creature. Yeah, it swings and it dodges back. It squawks, and now Yev's between Shalati and the creature. And you see it positioning its tail, swiping back and forth, looking for an opportunity.
I think. Is anybody else doing anything?
Shalati, what do you do?
Shalati squawks in a sound that almost sounds like the Auronachus and shoves forward in front of Yev because her arms are occupied while she is trying to push him back behind her. Or like she grabs him by the shoulder and like tries to spin him back behind her. And while she is doing that with her other hand, she hits her cheek and her upper lip lifts up and she hisses poison emerging from her fangs.
Ooh, give that a roll. Oh no. Yeah, wrestling kind of there with Yev. He's trying to protect you, you're trying to protect him, and as you go to do that, he bumps into you, and the poison kind of goes wide, hits the ground. Salinger, you hear rustling in the bushes right ahead of you, footsteps running close. You can't see anything yet. What do you do?
He crouches down, bracing himself against one of the rails with his ungloved hand, and then holds out the gauntleted hand, hoping that if something leaps towards him, as soon as he catches sight of it, he can just slam it in the face.
There's
What do you-
also
Go ahead.
there's also a flame in Casey's hand, if that helps with any lighting.
Oh, yes, that's a good point. Yeah, so light does spread out from that flame, illuminating for you to see. Actually, Salinger, as this thing runs towards you, as this thing's running up to you, and you have your gauntlet out to protect your hand. What are you thinking about, kind of at that moment? What's your intention?
My intention is I'm not faster than it. I'm not stronger than it. I'm going to try, when it bites my hand, to bite steel and punch it right in the mouth.
All right. As this thing leaps through the air at Salinger, there's a strange feeling in that gauntlet, and appearing kind of on your arm, on that hand, is a big shield half the size of your body. And this thing slashes into it with its claw. There's the translucent kind of ripple, almost like metal in water, and it squawks, trying to claw its way through it, but it can't get to you.
Awesome. A maybe uncursed item.
Casey, out of the corner of your eye on the opposite side from Salinger, you see another one of the creatures, another Auronachus, darting out of the bushes towards Yev's blind side.
Yev is right next to Shalati.
Yeah, they're standing right next to each other.
Yeah. It's it's coming in fast, huh?
Yeah, full sprint. It's going right for Yev.
Yeah, I glance at the dynamite in my hand and decide against it and throw the ball of fire at the creature running towards you.
All right, give it a roll for how accurate you might be with that. On the die. Anything to add to that?
Throwing. Does spin turf involve throwing? Or spin ball? Turf ball?
No, it's maneuvering.
Maneuver. Just 12 then.
Alright, yeah, it goes wide just over the creature as it leaps forward. There's a cry of pain from Yev as this thing slashes a claw into his side down across his hip. You see blood splatter out across the train tracks. Yev staggers and shoves the thing with the shovel. Ugh! Shalati, you see the one in front of you positioning, maneuvering. Its eyes are fixed on you. You can see, you see the third one is trying to get around the shield on Salinger's arm. They can't quite get by.
Is Yev down on the tracks now? Is the one that attacked him trying to go for him again?
It's like its weight is smashed into him and they're wrestling together. He hasn't gone down though.
She is 100% just going to ignore the one in front of her, and I'm trying to figure out what the distances is, and I guess what makes the most sense in terms of instinctive physical reaction.
Yeah, you're basically in a melee with you're with Yev and these other two, and then Salinger's kind of by himself with one, and Casey's in the middle.
I think she, as the pitchfork part was aimed toward the one, she is going to ram back with the pole end, the handle end of the pitchfork, and is trying to get it in between basically just trying to get it in between Yev and the creature and shove him off.
Okay, yeah, give it a roll. It'll probably be a test of just her strength. Nice. Yeah, you get the pitchfork in between, you pry this thing off of him and slam it into the creature that gets kind of tumbling off, off the side of the train tracks. You see it sprawling and whipping its tail, getting back up to its feet. Salinger, these things clawing at you, snapping, biting. You can just through this translucent shield, you can just see teeth snapping at you, trying to bite, claws, trying to get to you, but you're holding it off for right now. Yev's bleeding badly, and the one that Shalati had turned away from leaps at her. Shalati, roll disadvantaged, a test of your ability to evade this thing. Oh no. It leaps right towards you, but Yev sees it, and even wounded, he takes a swing of his shovel at it. Oh no. He swings a bit too early.
Wait, sorry, hang on.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure that rolled correctly.
Okay.
I can't actually tell what it did. Did I really just roll 2 ones?
I can't mouse over and parse that one.
Yeah. Let me try roll 2d20 again. And then maybe the 1d4 might just be the 2.
Okay.
Well, I rolled a 1 and a 2, so...
There we go. Yeah, let's see what come. Yeah, Shalati, you feel a stinging pain as this thing leaps onto your back and sinks its teeth into your shoulders, and it's biting down and holding on. You can feel its weight shoves you kind of forward. You stumble a little bit, but probably manage to stay onto your feet. Casey, what do you do?
see this creature attacking Shalati, and I pull the dagger from my belt and stab it at its eye.
All right.
And I'm inspired.
All right, roll again. Oh no. Yeah, this thing is whipping its tail back and forth like on Shalati's back, and then you see blood running down the front of Shalati's clothing. You try to angle for a swing at a stab at this thing, but you can't. It's thrashing around too hard. Salinger, the one that's engaged with you, backs away. You see it kind of cants its head, confused, upset, swishes its tail back and forth like a curious cat. What do you want to do?
He's going to walk backwards towards the rest of the group, still holding the shield, until he bumps into them.
Yeah, basically you back up almost into Casey. Two of you are back to back. Shalati and Yev both bleeding. The one that Shalati had knocked down starting to get back up to its feet, but not quite there yet.
The one on me. I am sort of kneeling on one, and I get up with a hiss that sounds almost as animalistic as the two creatures. There's reverse the. No, I think I'm actually just giving up on this because it's too close. So she's reaching around to the head of this thing. And how big is it? Can she palm the head?
It's pretty big. You could definitely grab onto it. You couldn't fit your whole hand around it, though.
She's gonna try and grab the jaw, basically, and just like pry it off of her.
All right, roll just a pure test of your strength. Oh no!
I think the dice just have it out for me, and they're like, "You are not ever gonna get any levels."
Right.
Do you still have inspiration?
No.
Like I used. Yeah, you reach on to grab on this thing. It lets go of your shoulder and bites onto your wrist instead, and you feel a snap, like a fracture, kind of the bone. It's extremely painful, and it starts swinging, pulling back and forth like a
Even in this state of protective fury, this gets through to her, and she screams as the wrist is broken, snapped, and flung around.
Yev takes one more swing with the shovel at the one on Shalati. Give him ooh, yeah, he smashes the thing with the shovel. It lets go of Shalati's arm, squawks, and retreats a few feet back, kind of flaring its feathers out, glaring at all of you. Casey, Salinger, back to back. What do you want to do?
Casey's breathing a little heavily, and he sees Shalati bleeding, and Yev smack it with the shovel, and says, focus, and says it again with the snap of his fingers, produces another ball of flame, and holds it up to the stick of dynamite.
Are you lighting the fuse?
I am.
Okay. It starts going.
I'm going to leave the shield pointing at the one that I was looking at and look in the direction of Shalati and Yev. All right. Is there anything in reach with my other hand?
No, not currently.
Okay.
She might have dropped the pitchfork, honestly.
I thought you meant like the creatures. Yeah, the pitchfork is on the ground.
She was like,
Okay. Well, then I'll heft that up and at least point it in front of them.
Okay. So you're driving away the one that was attacking Shalati, right?
Yeah, I'm not looking anymore, assuming that it's going to strike, but I'm leaving the shield up in that direction for it to bounce off of.
Okay, sounds good. The one that had fallen off to the side before has gotten up to its feet. Casey, you look like you want to do something.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like the one that was attacking Shalati that just got knocked off a bit away. He's gonna. How far away is that one from like Shalati?
You guys are all basically in a melee with these three things. It's still the same setup. One's north, one's west, one's east. You guys are in the middle.
And they're pretty close to us then.
Yeah. 5 feet, 10 feet, but it's still essentially all the same.
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of.
So Casey will sling the dynamite between the two that are closest to Shalati, but throw it past them. Essentially, sling it far enough away where he doesn't think the blast will actually hit Shalati or Yev or himself.
Yeah, so you light the dynamite and you've tossed it into the woods, past all of them, but kind of between the two guys are just saying, yeah. And you see this fuse goes off into the woods. There's a hanging moment. And you see one of the creature on the west side, is positioning, trying to find a way, curious to find a way past that shield that Salinger's holding. The one on the east has managed to get fully up to its feet, its tail swishing back and forth. You see it fixes its eyes onto Casey now. The one in the north is being sort of held back by wild swings of Yev's shovel and the pitchfork that Salinger's holding. And then there's a deafening, blinding explosion. Let me get a test of your essentially a Constitution check from all three of you. Stout.
Oh, I didn't have to roll that, did I?
No, you did. Sorry, all four of you. Three.
Okay.
Three of you. Yeah.
There's 4.
All right. And Casey, you got 14 plus 4 on that.
Yep.
All right. Salinger, your ears are ringing. There's a white light slowly fading from your vision. You wake up to see Casey standing over you. Casey, the explosion drove off the creatures. They fled off into the forest. But all of your friends are stunned, knocked down for a moment. There's blood coming out of Yev's side, Shalati's shoulder. I'm gonna roll a dice here. If I get a 6, something bad will happen. Okay, you're good. The creatures have fled for the moment. But there's a fire burning in the forest on the side of the train tracks.
Sal, you see Casey still with that flame in his hand, look down at you, and he said, and he moves over to Shalati and starts to help her.
Sal starts to get up and tries to pick up Yev.
Ow, that hurts.
Latte is coming to and instinctively rolls over and tries to push herself up and then screams again and collapses as one of her wrists reminds her that it's very much not a thing that she should be doing right now. And sucking in a breath.
Casey is down there kneeling next to her. Slow. You hurt.
And just shakes her head muzzily and starts to push herself up with the other one, panting in these little short gasps as this is incredible, a lot of pain that I don't think she's felt. in a long time. But yeah, she will start to get up and in almost instinct where her head swings around and it's looking for Yev.
Yeah, Yev's right there next to you. He's getting up to a knee. Oh, that hurts.
How much blood is coming out of that leg? Like, is it like a slow drip or is it bad?
Yev was gashed like on his side beneath his ribs. Shalati has a
Okay.
shallow cut on her thigh and bite marks on her shoulder. And the rest, of course.
They're gone for the moment, but we need to move. Take it slow here, and Casey will help Shalati up.
Need to get to some kind of shelter. Can't be out here exposed like this any longer. Not with those things. And seeing the rib, the non-injured side, he's got Yev's arm over his shoulder and is holding onto it like this.
Yeah,
Basically like a three-legged race.
Yev says, jeez, where did they go?
The noise scared them off, but can't know for how long.
And there's kind of fire kind of in the brush, and it's illuminating the area so you can all see. What do we do? Still the plan?
Plan's changed.
We can't stay out here. What's the closest building? We gotta go from one to the other. Maybe get back to the lighthouse eventually.
Ava.
Doc,
Yeah, she's right.
we
We
gotta
need
get
that.
you to Doc. How far outside of town are we, Chris?
You're a couple hours at this point.
Any buildings or anything that we know of nearby?
At this point, Shepherd Inn still is the closest thing.
Casey looks to Salinger and says, yeah, we gotta get them to Doc, but we still need to stop the train. We have time, though.
It's not too bad. I can keep going. We have to save everyone.
And
We gotta
will.
save you and Shalati first. You're part of everyone.
Let's get them to Doc. Then I'll go back for the train.
Yep, that's the only option. And then they start to trudge.
Yev, let me see your backpack.
Here, take it. It's Kibeth.
She will have heard the blast. She should be here soon. Casey still has that fireball in his hand that's illuminating light, and he'll keep holding on to it with Shalati, helping Shalati with his other arm, and a stick of dynamite tucked in his belt.
Sounds good. And Salinger, the shield is that you're holding is gone, but you're still
Okay,
holding you still have the gauntlet.
He's gonna say to Yev a little quieter than he's been speaking out loud, so others don't hear it. Sorry, Alexa decided I was asking a question. He says, "Yo, you are very brave, but there's a fine line between bravery and stupidity, and I need you to rein it in just a little bit, buddy."
Okay. Gee, yeah, well, okay. Okay.
Keep pressure on your rib. Hold your hand there, and they keep walking.
And you are on the train tracks headed back towards Shepherd End, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Meanwhile, back at the lighthouse. Julie says, okay, I've got it all set. I've turned the mirrors and we can use the lighthouse to, send a message to the townspeople. I put in what you wanted.
Okay. Bring weapons and supplies. I think that should be enough. I mean, people who can't read it will come, and people who can, I imagine they'll put one and one together to know where they're supposed to come to.
Okay. It looks like all of your friends have finished getting ready.
Yeah, I need to map out something. Esmond and I were gonna do a couple of routes before we leave. I'm gonna grab him and use your spyglass one more time, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Oh, and Julie, for the people who are inside, if someone has a fever, they might be like the patient I treated earlier. So if something comes out, get the men who helped earlier to prepare in the same way. And if something comes out, they just need to do the same thing and crush it when it gets out immediately. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And Ava goes to grab Esmond, and then, along with some pads of paper, take a few minutes to just scope out the town, handing him the spyglass and using her strangely perceptive eyes.
Okay, yeah. The two of you have made your way up to the exterior staircase on the outside of the lighthouse and looking through the spyglass and scanning the town. Yeah, you can see that it's probably a lot easier to navigate the eastern side of town because there's fewer the placement of the fires. It just creates sort of an easier place to navigate. You know that the mayor's house is on that side. It's a reasonably good place. Guess that's a place people might have gone to, at least within that corridor of fire-safe area. You also, probably at this point, you can see fires burning in the east out in the farmlands. Yeah, I'll say, I'm not sure if this makes sense, but I like it. Let me have you each roll a little perception check. 18 plus 3 for 21. For Ava, and yeah, natural 1 plus 3 for Esmond. Ava, you're scanning the area. You see a brief flash in the south. Not sure what that is.
Doesn't hear anything?
Not yet.
Okay.
A moment later.
Do you see that?
See what I got. I got shit smudged on the end of the spyglass.
No, over there. It's like sort of in the wooded area outside of town. Like where the tracks would be. It was just like a pop.
I'll take the spyglass and try to scan where she's gesturing at.
And between the rain, it's hard to see. There's smoke.
No, it's too dark, or nothing's standing out to me, at least not right now.
Okay. Do we have the route we want to take?
It looks like that there's a couple of safe paths to take on the eastern portion of town. Fortunately, it looks like it might be relatively easy to reach the mayor's home. Hopefully, if there are any survivors, that's where they've gathered.
Okay, let's... Sorry.
On that side of town, in that sort of safe corridor, there are 3 locations that you're familiar with that seem promising for what you're looking for. One is Meraldine's Mighty Anvil. That's the most experienced blacksmith in town. There's the Clockwork Heart. There's the mayor's house. That's really it in terms of like places you feel are relatively safe based on what you've seen. Places people might have gathered that are not in that safe area. Driftwood Inn, Wanderlust Tavern, Dry Iron Pub have a lot of good potential. There's also the warehouses near the docks. And all of those are either close to the hearth or it's in areas that are more like difficult to get to because of the fire.
Out of character, which end of town is the Tinker Shop?
The Clockwork Heart?
Oh, is that the name of the... Okay, thanks. That's...
Chris, DM, you said that was the Driftwood Inn, the Dry Iron Pub, and what were the other ones?
Wanderlust Tavern, and then the warehouse.
I'll probably get a list of those at some point. Ava seems to like have her eyes dart back and forth for a second as she's like nodding along, and she sort of grips your arm. Esmond, I don't think we should leave yet. We're not being consistent. We say there's safety in numbers and we should go as a group, but Shalati went to get Casey and Kebeth and bring him back to the lighthouse. Sal's there too. That's like the strongest person and the fastest person that we have. We should just give them time to come back and then all of us could go.
They might be the fastest or the strongest, but they're not the sneakiest. And we don't want to go in with big numbers. We want to get this done fast. If you don't want to go, you don't have to go, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go soon.
We can have Peach there. I thought that Esmond and
I thought we were all 4 lighthouse folks there. Sorry, I will not be in the scene.
I get it, Ava. We're running out of time. I'm worried that the train isn't even an option at this point. I've been concerned that if we're experiencing issues in the village with magic, how is that affecting surrounding communities? How's that affecting general community health overall? I know. You're right. We probably shouldn't. We probably shouldn't go into town, separated as we are from everybody else. But people could be really hurt, and people here need supplies. And we don't know when Owen, Shalati, and all of them are going to return either.
Well, okay. That's fine. It's too bad. It's too bad that Casey got rid of all that dynamite. It would have been kind of handy. We know where that big blue one is set up. I know that you really like the automatons, but I kind of like the idea of having them just walk right up to it with a gift. Boom. No more chicken. Anyway, if you think we should go into town, then everyone else says that, I'll do what you guys think is best. But just pointing out that it feels like we're not taking our own advice and doing the things that we say we shouldn't, all because we're afraid of sitting still.
You're not wrong. It's okay. Compromise. Immediate compromise. Let's let the Lux code go for an hour. Let's give it 1 hour and see if anyone responds or is able to return to the lighthouse. Goddamn lighthouse rats, let me tell you. Let's give it an hour. There's no... Peach seems insistent on going. I don't know if we can convince her to not go, but maybe we can convince her to just wait. Maybe if we give it a bit of time, some survivors will return from town. Maybe O and Shalati's group will return from finding the train. I agree. I hate that we're separated right now, but I don't know if we can afford to just sit and wait either, you know?
Okay, that seems like a compromise. I'll sit out here and I'll keep an eye out. I saw some of those puddings moving around on the streets. I'll just try to keep an eye for like the last place that I saw them and try to monitor if I can figure out where they're staying. And then maybe when we get close to town, we'll have a better idea of some places to be real extra careful or something.
Okay, and I'll talk with Peach and Araya. See if I can get everyone to sit just for another hour.
Okay, and that sounds good. Oh, and be careful with the spyglass. It means a lot to Julie.
Oh, I'll leave it up here for you. I don't seem to need it, but maybe you will. I don't know. I don't need it currently. Esmond will head off to go find Peach and Araya and explain the compromise we just discussed.
Yeah, so before Esmond gets there, down at the bottom of the lighthouse, Peach, Araya, you are in the last moments of finishing up your preparations to make your expedition into town. Just two of you at the moment.
As Esmond comes down, he overhears Peach.
He's not there yet. It's just...
Oh my god! I'm just gonna have her yelling the same thing that Peach interrupted with.
Okay.
Well, No matter what, I promised Gwen that I would go look for Mogwood. I'm just so worried. It's just the mayor's gone, the mayor's assistant's gone, the sheriff's gone. Like, everyone who could help with this is up north. What's happening in Lux?
Or dusted. Like my mom and half the rest of the town.
Your mom?
Yeah, has told me.
Peach.
I just want to go and do something about it.
Of course you would. But, your mom was actually like an adventurer. She actually... Everyone who knew what they're doing.
No, I still stand by that idea that if none of these jellies had ever broken out of anything, then we were supposed to go off to the war front in a couple of weeks anyway. We were always going to have to somehow learn how to do this sort of thing. So it's not up to the grown-ups anymore. People smarter and older and more qualified than us. There's just us. We're all we've got, so we gotta go and do something.
We're trying. I mean... I don't feel like my life has necessarily prepared me for this.
You're telling me I thought I'd be waiting tables my entire life.
You did not, Peach.
Hell, I thought my mom waited tables her entire life. I thought most of that all was made up. That was man, now I wish I'd listened better.
Well, we'll listen to what? I mean, she...
Just her stories and things. Try to figure out what was actually true. I used to just yes and make it more and more ridiculous. I figured it was all for the show anyway. Where all is everyone else? We got to get going, right?
Almost on cue. Husband makes his way down.
He walks like a goblin, apparently.
Well, I mean...
His parents were
Like,
rubbed off on him.
Brown dogs would be, like, wagging its tail.
Hey, guys. Ava and I talked. We're gonna give it. We're gonna give the Lighthouse Lux Code an hour before we head out. As a means of waiting for Shalati, Sal, the others to return, as well as any survivors in town making their way up to the lighthouse with any possible news as well.
But they're gonna stop the train.
To Ava's point, we are completely spread out with no means of communicating with one another. The hope basically, we're hoping if we give it an hour, that's when the group will return with news about the train, and we can join back together and all tackle the town together. Hopefully, we just. Peach, I know you want to get out there, but
I'm just saying you should have put it this way to start. The way it came down, it was like you and I've made a decision for everyone without the rest of us. I mean, waiting an hour so that the others can get back and we can all decide together and reinforce each other, that I'm on board for.
Sorry, I'm tired. I'm losing my my usual speech patterns, I think.
Yeah, as I just want to be doing something. I just want to be keeping busy. So
I think it's more than that. I think that there are some things that can't wait. And I think there are some things that require us to be patient. But finding people to help in town may not have the luxury of time.
an hour, I'll do an hour. After that, though, I'm leaving. Come with me, Rhea.
I could turn invisible. I could in and out. And out.
You're not going by yourself, if that's what you're suggesting, Aria. No. Absolutely no one is going into that hellhole by themselves.
Oh no, we use the buddy system, right, Araya?
We're good buddies.
Now, I'm joking, as I won't go till we have a quorum. Can't speak for Araya, though. She might go full rogue.
I am a rebel like that. Fine. If you ask nicely, if you promise we're going into town once the others arrive, if we promise that we can try to save as many people as possible, because this is not the whole town, and if it's not the whole town, there might be somebody that needs us and we can't abandon them.
I know it's not the whole town. We're not going to find the rest of the town there. I already know that we're not.
Since when did you get psychic powers?
Repeat that, Aria?
She's mostly needling you, but since when did you gain these psychic powers of predicting the future? You gotta have faith and hope and help.
Aria, so many people were turned to ash by that thing's lightning. Ava and I were basically showered in it. We'll be able to find some people, but we're not going to find the rest of the town.
But some people, they matter.
No, of course they do, and we're going to find who we can, but we can't find anybody if we're risking ourselves and getting ourselves hurt. Okay. Is what I'm trying to get across. Let's just reconvene in an hour, okay? I yes. Promise that we will go to the town to find people to find whoever we can. Just give me an hour. Just give me an hour to try and think of something else.
I'll give you that. Thank you for promising.
I'll give the rest of our friends an hour to arrive. I'm not promising to agree with what all you tell us is. I'll wait an hour before I go into the town.
Is there anything we can do from here? What did you see when you were on the tower? Can we help?
There's nothing to see right now. The eastern side of town appears to be the safest. There are a number of places that we can check that might have survivors, or at the very least will have supplies. But there's nothing that we could really make out to indicate specifically where people may or may not be.
Good. Okay.
Ava and I have drawn up a map, and Esmond will pull out a scrap sheet of paper and hand it to both of you. It's got a couple of the paths that we determined would be the safest on the eastern edge of town to be probably the safest. So just take a look at it, study it. I guess in an hour we'll figure out what to do next.
Well, I think I might just take a nap or something to... Yeah. Don't let me sleep through this. I slept through enough already.
Just both of you rest for now. We all need to rest. We'll get this figured out. Esmond's gonna turn around and head back upstairs.
All right. Question. Beth, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Yay! I want to know what happens to Kveth!
Speedy Gonzalez has returned.
Kiki, you're our only hope!
Meanwhile, Kveth is taking control of the train.
Okay, only tell
real.
me. Don't tell me anything that Kabeth wouldn't know. I only want to know in character information.
Totally
You're
fair.
What
where
the fuck
we
have I
left
been
off.
doing?
Well,
Totally fair.
you've been running to go get
No,
the
no,
train.
no, let me. Yeah, Kabeth, you've been scouting ahead of Casey and Yev on the train tracks.
Why? Why am I chasing a train or running ahead of a train? I'm not quite
that's
sure.
right.
Last session too.
You're scouting ahead.
To what end?
I think our speed is disconcerting to you.
Mostly because you weren't here, you're faster than them. So it's very useful for you to be scouting ahead.
What am I looking for?
Potential danger.
Okay. Is there an actual train behind you or just my friends?
There is no train. There is just train tracks. No train. No immediate train related things.
She should at least know the plan that we had come up with.
Yeah, she was there.
Yeah.
The character was there, yeah.
PC wasn't there, but she was.
No, yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah!
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Sorry, the reason you're here at all is that you, I forgot you weren't there for that part. You, Casey, and you and Casey, just the two of you, went off to go walk south down the train tracks in order to, either get on the train or flag down the train. I think the plan was for you to jump onto the train because both of you are fast and or daring. Get the train to slow down and stop before it reaches the town. It's a loose plan. So that the survivors could get onto the train and you guys could all go escape.
Okay. Right. One of us is fast, the other one is daring.
Mm-hmm. Fast and or daring. You would have been aware of this. You found the body of one of the dwarves, Grem, who had taken all the dynamite and had headed south, eventually to go west to try to find some solution for the curses. You found his body on the side of the train tracks. He'd been torn apart by some sort of creature. And you found footprints similar to those that you found at the farm, the Fairfoot farm. Yeah. So you have been scouting ahead. The friend's not too far behind you. You'd come in and check with them and then go off again. And they just walk so slow. You know, it's just kind of really boring to go at the same pace.
Yeah, I'd probably like run ahead, walk with them for like a little while, and be like, "All right, I'll be back." Run off.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, well, there comes a point where you're off scanning ahead. It feels particularly quiet. You hear the sound of the forest creatures, cicadas. You hear a little bit of rustling in the bushes. Up ahead.
Oh, oh no, no, no. She's going to be stepping back away from the bushes and looking down the tracks to see if she sees her friends.
Yeah, you step back, take a look. Take a look over your shoulder. The thing that you hear in the bushes is ahead of you, though. Your friends are behind you. You hear another little bit of movement in the brush.
Yeah, well, it could be a chicken, or it could be a killer chicken, or it could be something really terrible. She is going to turn around and start running back towards her friends.
Just as you turn to run, you hear an explosion from the direction of your friends. And you hear movement in the bush that you had just heard running away from you.
I'm running towards the explosion.
Yeah, you go bounding along the train tracks. Before too long, you come to a fire off on the side of the train tracks, curling smoke. You see some blood on the train tracks themselves.
Do I see my friends or just blood?
Just blood right now, but you see a trail of blood heading back towards town.
Oh God! Would I leave him for 5 minutes? Oh, I'm running, following the blood.
All right. You go bounding ahead. Before too long, you start to make out the shape of some people ahead of you. Casey, Shalati, Salinger. You hear the clippity-cloppity of approaching hooves.
Just before she gets there, can we do those?
Sure, right before she arrives, yeah.
Yeah. So Casey is helping Shalati along, if she lets him.
Yeah, she's leaning on her shoulder. They're not really in a position to be turning anyone down.
Yeah. As they're moving along, he kind of looks at her and kind of looks at her shoulder and her wrist and is smiling and kind of looking at her with affection, and he smiles and says,
Before she sees a smile out of the corner of his eyes, and she looks him directly in the eyes and says, "No, I do not want to hear it." And this is sort of gritted through her teeth.
he holds up a hand that has the fireball in it. Says, I mean, you wanted to bury the dynamite. And as they move along, I guess at this point, Kabeth comes running up.
Clap, 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 clap.
Oh, thank the bathing, you're safe.
So, hold on, just let me interrupt you. Something has happened with Discord's like noise reduction to where like if you make a really high pitched noise, like a scream, it just drowns it out. Like we don't hear it. I don't know why that's happening.
Really?
Yeah, they've changed something.
Yeah, it was weird.
It was happening with Shalate earlier and just happened with you.
Maybe change it from crisp to standard.
Okay, I've changed it to standard.
Try screeching.
Try that again.
I don't think I can replicate what I just did. Oh. Ooh. Ah!
No, it works. It works. You fixed it.
Okay.
And it echoed perfectly with that weird bird scream. Ah, says Kabeth, and it echoes.
Wait, what happened to you? Oh, I've just gone.
We're fine. We're fine.
Fine.
Fine, but I'm glad you are fine. She says
You-
as she bleeds heavily from one shoulder.
You're leaving a trail of blood behind you, and there was something in the bushes behind me, and I don't know if it's going to be following us. We should probably keep moving.
What you see is that Yev looks badly wounded, bad gash kind of along his, like a side under his ribs. You see Shalati's blood coming from her shoulder and her wrist and her thigh.
Can I see if I can pick him up?
Pick who up?
Yeah, what was his name? Yev?
Yev's
I'm
like
carrying
a.
him.
He's like a Goliath. He's like leaning on.
He's like 6 feet tall.
Salinger's shoulder.
Skinny, but 6 feet tall.
You can certainly help. There's no reason you can't help. He's just you could not pick him up. I don't think.
I mean, I might be really, really strong. You don't know.
That's true.
There were
Listen, my Shadowrun character caught people, and she was a dwarf. You never don't judge a person by their size to who they might be able to carry when you roll really good rolls.
It's true. We are discriminating.
Casey says there was 3 creatures that attacked us.
Specifically, a pack of Auronachus.
Shalati and Yev got the worst of it. But
What?
you hissed at them. He smiles at Shalati again.
What's an
She
Auronachus?
scowls.
It's like a bird lizard, sharp fangs. Apparently hunts in packs. One of the stories I'd heard. You lent me a book on him once, you remember?
I've just been very consumed with just running lately. I've kind of forgotten.
Everything about you seems faster.
Thoughts are faster. Feet are faster. We should get
The
moving.
need for speed.
You're deeply hungry.
Yeah, I really need to eat. You think there's food back in town?
We are not going back into the town. We're headed to the lighthouse. Town's overrun.
Do you think they have food at the lighthouse?
Yeah, maybe.
Stop.
Yes, I have one more snack. You can have my snack.
Don't drop the wrapping.
Yeah, littering in general is frowned upon, but also those creatures are attracted to it.
He takes out this like corn husk wrapped kind of dried meat snack. Offers it to you.
There's also
Wait, you're not talking anymore?
Shalati points with her good hands, wincing a little bit as the still pulls at her shoulder towards the west and says, "There's also a ranch full of cooked, maybe slightly charred creatures. If you want a lot of sheep and alpaca to eat."
She kind of looks at the snack, looks in the direction that Shalati pointed, and kind of hesitates.
That's a joke. Do not do it.
Grabs the snack. doesn't make eye contact with Yev. Just kind of.
Feel a lot better.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of mutton, but I'm not that discerning.
Would Kabeth eat goat?
Well, she's not a goat. So
Right. Thus the question.
I
Would
suppose if
she?
you cooked a satyr.
No, I didn't say would
probably, yeah.
Could Kabeth eat another satyr? Oh my god, that would be disgusting cannibalism. I asked, would Kabeth eat goat?
Salinger, you feel Yev wavers and then collapses against you. He's fallen unconscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give him a nudge.
She
I think we need
pulls.
to get him to dock.
He's still breathing. Check his pulse. His heart's still beating. It's a little threatening.
Someone's cape. We can at least just tie it off or something. She's pulled away from Casey and has gone down underneath next to her brother.
Yeah, Casey grimaces ever so slightly when she says this, kind of feeling the rain hit the top of his hood. He's just behind, and he brings his hood down and takes off his cloak, hands it to Shalati.
Thank you. And she looks up towards someone who has two hands to pull this into strips and put it around.
Yeah.
And
We'll
you begin
work
to
together.
tear the fabric of the rain-soaked cloak and take a moment there to bandage Yev. It's about then you hear a bit of rustling in the bushes.
Casey lights the stick of dynamite, tosses it that direction.
Ooh.
You don't know what's over there.
Light another stick of dynamite, toss it out in the woods. Explosion. You hear the
All right,
bushes
Mogwood.
rustling as something, two things go fleeing off into the distance.
Can't be too careful. I'll warn you guys next time. And he moves over to the back of Yev and
Casey,
gets
did
another
you
piece
just
of...
blow up part of the woods?
Did you not hear? We're being hunted.
What if it was one of our friends hiding?
Just visual confirmation. I think that's all we needed.
Next time, at least wait to hear them chirping or see them.
He pulls another stick of dynamite out of Yev's backpack.
My-
Fair
Good
enough. But we're not suspecting anyone other than those things, are we?
We weren't expecting this whole thing to happen either. So many people scattered in every direction.
Exactly. You don't know if it's a townsperson running for their lives. I mean, I assume it's all bad things all the time, but like, we should probably look first.
Yeah, the checklist of things that were unexpected has become increasingly long.
They do move fast, though. Visual confirmation may be too late.
Too late is better than killing someone else.
It's not better than you dying.
It is much better.
Not if it turns out to be someone we really like.
I would rather die.
We are walking, arguing, right? Just making sure.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you've
would
been
want to-
bandaging Yev, right? So,
Okay.
but you just finished. He kind of he's still alive, but he's hurt.
And she then was like, while you're at it, we should probably this one too. It may take a while to get tonight. I probably should not bleed out on the walk back. I think Ava would be very mad at me.
I think we all would.
To be fair, we'll probably be disappointed in our bandaging as well.
They're so judgy.
You tear off some strips of cloth. You begin to bind Shalati's wounds. Meanwhile, back at the lighthouse.
Snoozing.
Perfect. Sleeping, Araya, you're woken up by the sound, distant dynamite explosion. Close enough this time to at least recognize what it is.
Someone's in trouble. Like, someone's in trouble. She like scrambles to stand up.
Yeah. Peach, Ava, Esmond, you've all noticed this. The sound is distinct enough that you could make it out what it was.
I think Peach is outside at this point, and she just mutters to herself, Casey.
Ava would have been sitting on the stairs outside, sort of staring out over the town. That's where she was kind of like resting and observing. Did she see? I guess obviously she heard it. Did she see anything?
You didn't see it, but you heard it.
Okay.
Come from the south.
Yeah, she goes back down to the stairs to join everybody else. How long has it been?
Just about an hour. In fact, as you gather there with the others at the base of the stairs, you begin to notice bit of movement. You see survivors drawn by the lighthouse, headed towards shelter. Unfortunately, you realize after a moment that they're running. You pick out Lowry, bartender.
Well, that was a bit of a whiplash.
Bartender from the Dry Iron Pub. He's heading the group. He's got one person in his arms dragging another. You see a kind of trail, 4 or 5 people behind him running. You see a flash of blue. The person, the slowest of them, gets hit by a blue pudding, collapses down, convulsing on the ground. You see someone dragging someone else who seems to be unconscious towards the lighthouse. You hear shouting. You see people all right near you beginning to stand up, pointing that direction. Somebody's there. Somebody needs help. And that's where we'll end for tonight.
So it's going great then.
Yeah, everything according to plan.
This is the most protracted party wipe I've ever played in.
I know. My theory is that this is like just the intro. This is just the prologue, and we're all gonna get wiped, and then our actual characters are gonna show up on the train tomorrow morning and be like, "Oh no, this poor town totally wiped out by these things. We have to go." And
we're all just grizzled adventurers. We're like, all right, let's.
It's our folks from like season 12, where it's like fucking Carter and Ethan and them.
Yep, another pudding infestation. Man, I've seen one.
That would be a real shame, because I'm so looking forward to playing this character.
Been playing her for months.
Like, I have to see the implications of these puddings changing shape play out. Like, how far does it go? How shape-shifty do they get?
Nobody has actually brought up that we might be able to, like, would they fight each other? Like, if you have different elements, will they fight each other? Or one's a chicken and one's a fox. Will that animal nature overtake them? Here on Wild Mass Guessing.
That's Esmond business.
Speaking of which, where is Esmond?
I don't know. We start seeing people destroyed by electricity, and Ez goes missing. Suspicious.
By the way, the answer is yes. Gebeth would eat goat, because I think that in her mind it would be very divorced from her own species. It would be, I don't know, different. So she'd be like, yeah, goat's fine.
Yeah, but it would be like if a pig looked a little too human. I don't know if I would do that.
Pigs already are a little too... Have you ever seen a fetal pig? They're creepy as fuck.
I was just thinking, Sean, that like a pig rump looks like a human rump,